Because I saw the Phillies take 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. They're going to the World Series, Johnny. The JK11 guarantee hits. It was a beautiful weekend for Phillies baseball. We'll talk about today. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
We do recognize the issues that have hurt this team over the last couple of years. I'm enjoying this season. They're going to be a good ball club.
That kind of stuff bothers me. It annoys the crap out of me in the moment. It doesn't annoy me enjoying the game or enjoying the whole baseball season.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, JK11 guarantee. Bang!
Yeah, that was a pretty nice one.
It got dicey.
It was everything got dicey. Friday night got dicey. We got Romano twice.
Yeah.
Romano is not good for the blood pressure.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
You know, not good for. But I thought that was absolutely a fantastic weekend of baseball where we're selfish bastards. Storylines. Tons of them coming out of this weekend. So many different storylines.
What was the one thing I asked for, Johnny? I just wanted to be entertained.
I found you know what's funny is I found Friday night far more entertaining than Sunday. And Sunday was the high scoring lead changes, things like that. I thought Jesus Luzardo, because I knew you were going to say this today because you want to be entertained. I walked away saying the Jesus Luzardo start was when I was most entertained. Friday night, watching that, it was a freaking masterpiece.
You love dominance from a pitcher.
I love that.
I totally get it.
I absolutely love it. Like 3-1 to me is not a bad night. That game was over at like 9:07.
Yeah.
It's great. It was unbelievable.
I think back to my freshman year of college at the great Temple University.
Oh.
The Temple University. And a bunch of us on our freshman dorm floor went to a Phillies game. This is the 2013 season when they kind of made a push for the playoffs late. They didn't make it. And there were like 2 or 3 guys that had never been to a baseball game in their life.
Okay.
And the game ended up being a 1-0 shutout for whoever pitched for the Phillies. I loved it. Right? Like, I love that brand of baseball.
I absolutely love it, too.
You should have seen the 3 dudes that never went to a baseball game in their life. They're like, this is fun for you? I'm like, yes. Because some people would rather go to a game where it's yesterday, where it's a 8-7 ball game, instead of going to the 1-0 ball game. But either way, it was still entertaining. Yesterday was still a very entertaining baseball game.
Yesterday was fantastic.
Obviously, when the Dodgers are coming back and they take the lead, I'm not happy. But ultimately, throughout the course of 9 innings, I was once again entertained. That's all I wanted for an April 4th, 5th, and 6th series in the 2025 season where I have very high expectations for the Phillies. And, of course, we all know what the Dodgers are expected to do. So let's revisit Friday's conversation a little bit here. Because I said early in the show on Friday that I just wanted to be entertained.
And the thing is I watch sports, so I understood you because I watch sports. Like, if I'm not entertained by sports, I don't watch it.
Right.
Like, if I don't like it, if it's not entertaining to me, it's a waste of my time.
What's the point of watching?
So I want to be entertained. So I got that point of view. I just had a different point of view.
And your point of view was this series, if they win and look good, could impact how you feel in a positive way come October, or if they looked horrible and the Dodgers completely just beat the crap out of them like they're going to do to a lot of teams this year, you would feel less confident come October. So you got the more positive ending.
I got 2 takeaways. One, that I saw 2 pitchers, and even Nola. I mean, Nola's not – he can't keep the ball in the yard. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's a lot of Nola defenders and just that are constantly – anything you say about Nola, they're like up in arms. I saw Dylan and doing it on Twitter. It is impossible to ignore that since the start of 2023, he's been the worst pitcher in the National League at keeping the ball in the yard. Mm-hmm. Period. We're now into the 3rd season where this seems to be a trend where it's going on. That doesn't mean, though, it was a terrible outing. They could have won. They could have had a chance to win that game with what he gave them. So, to me, even with Nola's start, I looked at that Phillies starting pitching and I said it on Friday, they've got something on pitching to Ohtani.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And there's enough of a sample size now to see it that they do really well against the most dangerous hitter in baseball.
He was 1 for 11 in the series with 5 strikeouts. And last year they handled him very well, too.
And there's no intimidation. The second was the starting pitching tells me they can stay up with it. They can handle that Dodger lineup. And it also tells me, too, there's no intimidation with the Phillies. The Phillies do not look at Dodger blue and get like, man, these guys are too good to beat. And it all started, and we'll talk about it later, with Bryce Harper.
And you know what? I don't think the Phillies ever had that. I don't think they were intimidated by the Diamondbacks. I don't think they were intimidated by the Mets. It's just their approaches in the playoffs are horrible, and they have a lineup where it's very boom or bust. And
they don't
obviously yesterday you got the boom, and that's what helped you win the baseball game. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I don't think they ever have that. Whether it's been the Braves, we've seen them go into Atlanta to start a series and win.
The Astros,
they played them well that series. Yeah,
the 2022 World Series. Remember, they fell behind in that game. What was it? The first game of that series. Was it 4-0?
Something like
that.
They
may have fallen behind 4-0 in the first game of the World Series at Houston.
Yeah.
Cinderella, time to go home.
Right.
And the Phillies battled their asses off till JT Realmuto got the hit to win the game in extra innings.
In extra innings.
And to me, I look at that as this Phillies team has that swagger.
Right.
And
absolutely.
I like it. So I come in today feeling better about the Phillies team than I did on Friday. I feel better about them.
Can I tell you something? I feel the same.
I do not.
I feel the same way that I felt going into the Dodgers series because of how early it is. So, again, we're revisiting the conversation. Did this series, where the Phillies took 2 of 3 against the defending World Series champions and the team that everybody is predicting to win again this year because they obviously added to their team. Freddie Freeman hurt. Blake Snell gets hurt. So they're going to deal with stuff over the course of a long 162-game season.
And did you think we had a hurt pitcher on the mound yesterday?
No.
I did. I honestly think he was something happened during that game and he wasn't.
Glasnow?
Yeah.
I thought his shoes were just, he couldn't get the mud out of his
think that's what it was?
He kept complaining and going to the back of the mound.
I'll tell you, he's mentally fragile.
I think, no, he is.
He's a mentally fragile pitcher.
He absolutely is.
He's a hell of a talent. When things are going his way,
he's great.
He's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching him pitch. But when any adversity is thrown his way, and a Dodger broadcast, so I put on the little on the Major League at Bat app, and I put on the Dodgers radio broadcast, and I'm hearing them talk about it. And they're just talking about how they had to talk to him about guys made errors behind him, and he glares.
Yeah.
And anything throws him off.
And Snell's the same way. So that's a two-time Cy Young Award winner.
I love it. I love it because I see it as potential weakness.
So let's revisit the conversation Friday to start at 610-632-0975. Would love for you to text in. Did a series like that make you feel better about the Phillies? And I know we're focusing on what they did against the Dodgers, but I do want to try to open it up a little bit more. Do you feel better about this team overall? Because I will go back to the tweets that we got in the first 6 innings of opening day, where people said that this team, same old, they're going to lose. This is why they're going to lose. They've now won all 3 of their series to start the season. Have there been some moments in games that you don't feel necessarily great about? We'll talk about Jordan Romano coming up. Romano. We'll talk about him coming up next. There have obviously been some blemishes, but ultimately they've won their 3 series to start the season. And you've seen it via the pitching staff. You've seen it via the bullpen. You've seen it yesterday via the bats, where the bats won you that ball game. So I already felt good about this team going into it. You feel even better now because you wanted to see it against the Dodgers.
Yep.
We'll hear from Connor coming up next. Did this series make you feel better about the team and better about the team's chances because everybody is saying that the Dodgers are some unbeatable organization? We'll go deeper into the series itself coming up next. The great and the not so great. Romano, not so great. It's Kincade Salciunas on this Monday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and
this Monday morning. Another week of Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic, following a nice series win for the Phillies over the Dodgers. So the Phillies have now won all three of their series to start the season.
And one sweep, which is nice.
Yep, and they are 7-2. And we're about to watch them take on the 1-8 Atlanta Braves, which we'll talk about later on in the show. But, Connor, did you have your opinion change on the Phillies at all after this weekend? You were more with me when it came to this conversation on Friday about whether or not our opinions would change on the Phillies for a series in April come October. Did you have any changes in your opinion?
Nope. I mean, I've been talking about this team for years and how good I think this core of players is. I talked about this team this offseason and how good I think they're still going to be, even though they didn't make big moves. Like, I expect this team to do great things. I don't think they're majorly far off from the Dodgers when it comes to a head-to-head matchup. Over 162, the Dodgers are going to win more baseball games.
Yeah.
They just are.
Maybe 20 more.
Yeah, but I've seen...
No.
If the Phillies win 92 games,
The Dodgers are not winning 20 more. Nope.
they could win 112 games this year.
They got a tougher division.
All right. Yeah. Either way.
They got a tougher division, so no, I don't expect that.
Either way, the Dodgers are going to win more games than the Phillies in the regular season. I firmly still believe that. But I've seen this team go toe-to-toe, different iterations of this Phillies team, go toe-to-toe with better teams in the postseason.
Yeah.
And knock them off consistently.
Yeah, it's just
And
the,
then
it's just the
lose to
lesser,
lesser
the
teams.
lesser teams.
They just
What
got
is
to have the
that?
toughest
See,
path
I don't
possible.
understand that logic.
What do you mean?
Because you say, I've seen this team go toe-to-toe with better teams, and then you've seen them go and lose to some better teams.
No, I know.
And then you've seen them go toe-to-toe with bad teams and lose to them.
Right, but that my point is about this Dodgers series. It was never going to show me something I didn't already know about the Phillies.
Right, that they're a playoff team.
What did you know
and
about
a
Jesus
contender.
Luzardo versus the Dodgers?
I knew he's nasty when the Phillies acquired him.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
knew
if
he
he'd
was a
be
good
healthy.
pitcher.
And here's the other thing with Jesus
No,
Luzardo.
on Friday.
What do you mean?
What did you know about him facing the Dodgers on Friday morning when we had the conversation? You knew nothing. And then on now, we know Jesus Luzardo made the Dodgers look, they couldn't have hit with a boat paddle.
Yeah, but I
on
don't
Friday
want to.
night.
When they play each other again in July,
They'll play them again in, is it June or July? It's one of those.
they now might have a book on them. So we'll
They
see.
may.
And that's why I
Well,
can't
wait a minute, though.
determine.
He's not a new pitcher.
Yeah, they've
He's
faced
a
him
pitcher they've
before.
faced before.
But now they face him this year. Who knows? All I'm saying is I can't. Again, this is why I get questionable with sometimes getting too excited or too upset over a series in April.
Well, if you're making grand pronouncements from a series in April, then that's dumb. If you're not, and I will also say and insist, if you're not taking something away, by the way, it's September. Remember, it's the
okay.
second.
Yeah,
it's the
that's
second
right,
to
yeah.
the last week of the
They got
year.
the West Coast
They play
trip.
them again. It is the idea that if you don't take something away from what you've seen, then the baseball scouts are all there. They're all watching those two teams this weekend. Big scout weekend.
oh yeah, sure.
What are they doing? They're watching to take stuff away from watching those two teams.
Yeah.
They're learning something about the teams.
Yeah, but like those are scouts that work for another organization. I've watched probably 500 games of this baseball team with largely the same players over the last 3 years. Like, I know what the Phillies are. I know what their problems are. I know what their strengths are. And I know that in the postseason, you can throw out pretty much everything that happened over 162 because they got a hit. And like the Luzardo thing, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade. He's awesome. But his problem has not been production. His problem has been availability.
Right.
Like, it's a long season. He's made 2 starts. So I'm excited about the series win. It's awesome to see them beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. It's April. We'll enjoy 3 series victories. We're on to Atlanta.
Yeah, he's better than him. But remember, what was his name last year? Spencer Turnbull.
Wait a minute.
Well, Spencer Turnbull was a very good pitcher and then could not stay healthy. And then remember how great he was to start the season with the Phillies, and then what happened? He got
I
hurt.
never thought of Spencer Turnbull to be even in the zip code of Jesus Luzardo.
Nah, he's
Major
not
League reputation.
overall.
He's not even in the conversation with the two man.
But he was as good.
He would be so offended right now. Luzardo's offended if he heard that. Spencer Turnbull's not Jesus Luzardo.
He had the when was it?
Jesus Luzardo is thought about in baseball that it was a freaking steal.
Yeah, but Turnbull was at one point a very high prospect, and he got hurt. Blah blah blah. That's that's just the point I'm trying to make. By
Just
the way,
that it's early. We should enjoy it.
Yes.
Don't take it too far.
Enjoy
Exactly.
it. And if you're making grand pronouncements, it sound dumb. But I definitely think you can take stuff away.
we might be able to make a grand pronouncement on Jordan Romano. He just might not be the same pitcher anymore. So yesterday, when I put out a tweet just how this has not been fun watching Romano pitch, some guy responded with, "Did you expect him to be good?" I was like, "Did you not follow. You may not have followed his career in Toronto.
I expected him to be able to come in here and rebuild what he was.
He was
or get too close to it.
Incredible with the Blue Jays until he got hurt. Now the thing is, sometimes we see the great recovery story. More often than not, especially in baseball. Sometimes they don't recover well. And his velocity is not getting by anybody right now.
Nope.
And again, in a bullpen era where you want guys that are flamethrowers, like a Jose Alvarado, and you deal with some of the shaky outings with the walks, this guy's not blowing anybody away.
Nope.
And he had another bad outing yesterday. And
after one on Friday.
You're not going to, release him this early, but I think Rob Thompson's going to have to realize that he can't be your high leverage guy anymore. So we'll talk more about the Phillies. And coming up next, part of the reason why I can't change my stance about how this series impacts my feelings for October is what we just talked about a little bit. And I'll explain more coming up next. It is Kincade and Salciunas. Can't wait to hear from you at 610-632-0975. Did this series make you feel better about the Phillies and what's been a strange start to the season for reaction purposes? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Bills down the Dodgers. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend in a great series between two of the top teams in baseball. Yesterday, Nick Castellanos supplied the offensive firepower with a grand slam in the third inning. Got a little dicey late, but the Phillies were able to find their way to a victory. Prior to the series, Scott Lauber of The Inquirer joined the Best Show Ever Friday and talked about the Phillies' belief that they can hang with the Dodgers.
The Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Clearly, they created some early season proof of that over the weekend. The Phils are off today. They'll head to Atlanta for 3 games with the Braves starting tomorrow. The Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Flyers are off till Wednesday. And also in hockey news, Alexander Ovechkin scored goal number 895 yesterday, officially passing Wayne Gretzky for the most in NHL history. We're going to talk to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN coming up at 8:10. Little draft talk, little tush-push talk, so we'll get into that with him. This update's brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip?
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, so our question for you guys to answer today at 610-632-0975 is whether or not this series win over the Dodgers did anything for you when on a confidence level, whether it's the Phillies-Dodgers potential playoff matchup or just the Phillies team as a whole, because let's face it, John, the conversations surrounding this team since Game 1 have been interesting. I mean, the Phillies are 7-2.
That's one way to put it. That's one way to put it. Has been overwhelmingly, I think, people have been finding negative storylines more than positive.
Absolutely. They've won 7 of their 9 games to start the season, and when they are not looking good at a specific moment, that's when Twitter seems to be more active.
Sure.
And then when they win the game, it's go Phils or crickets. Like there doesn't seem to be a sway of emotions back to the positive. It just seems like people go, all right, they're supposed to win. They're good.
Like, did you see, I don't know if any of you caught, after Saturday's game, the start of Phillies post-game live?
No, I did not.
Okay, so right after the game, they go to post-game live. And Michael Barkan got literally assaulted on live TV by Ricky Bo, John Kruk, and they literally were jumping him. Like because he was being critical of Aaron Nola.
Oh, okay.
And they jumped him to the point of, if you heard the audio, it was like a chalk body outline was being left on the street. And look, I thought Michael came off very negative to start the show. Mm-hmm. It's just the second game of a Dodgers series and everything like that, and he was leading with all the bad stuff. So I understood the motivation with Ricky and Krucker, but man, they buried him on live TV.
But here's the deal.
It's like, but Michael's whole thing was he was leading with all the negative storylines.
Right. Now,
they were defending Nola to the point that I thought it was embarrassing. It's a 6.35 ERA.
Yeah.
It's the guy who's been leading the National League in home runs allowed since the beginning of 2023. Seriously, he can be criticized.
Yes, he's allowed to be criticized.
And you can say that a team lets down when your pitcher's giving up gopher balls, your team does deflate.
Right.
Because they say, I'm seeing it all again. It's okay to say both. Be positive and be objective.
And still point things out.
And be objective.
And so that's why, to that point right there, Johnny, this is why I can't kind of make some proclamation that the Phillies and Dodgers, the Phillies will be okay if they meet them in the playoffs 6 months from now. Because in this series, where I did see a lot of good, right? We talked about Luzardo and Christopher Sanchez. Saw a lot of good. Castellanos with the big swing yesterday. Good to see Bryce Harper have a nice day offensively. Edmundo Sosa. They love him.
Yes. Ride it.
They love Sosa. They love Sosa.
Ride it while you can.
And
I'm not going to use Mike Missanelli's analogy from the other day.
Yeah, don't do
I know
that.
Ray got that for drops.
Yeah, don't do that. So there was a lot of positives, but then at the same time, we talk about Jordan Romano. Now, here's the deal. Is Jordan Romano going to still stink come October?
Who knows?
Will he be on the roster come October? I watched Alec Boehm sit on the pine yesterday. Now, maybe it was a rest day, but he's also struggling to the point where he's now just batting 200, and you do have a backup in Edmundo Sosa who's playing some pretty hot baseball right now, which is why he gets the start. But if you ask me, Alec Boehm is the better player overall than Edmundo Sosa. So I saw good, I saw not so good, but I don't believe Alec Boehm is going to be hitting 200 6 months from now. That's why I can't make any sort of proclamation on April 7th because they took 2 of 3 against the Dodgers.
That's fine. If you're making proclamations, then we're on the same page. But if you don't think you know more about the Phillies' chances against the Dodgers, that's just where we will philosophically disagree.
But then, I even though they've handled Ohtani well for the last 2-3 years, I'm not ready to say confidently, if they face Ohtani, they have the book on them.
How about, because
then 30 other teams would like to know what that book is.
But again, if you're making proclamations, then I agree with you 100%. But if you're not saying this morning, the Phillies have the best book on pitching to Ohtani in the National League, you will be factually incorrect.
Well, they do.
Book. And by the way, the sample size is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
The Phillies pitchers have a plan.
They do.
Caleb Cotham and all those great pitchers did a great job against him.
Now, I will say that book.
There should be no proclamation that means they will own him in October.
Right.
But going into a series now, you could say with factual confidence, the Phillies have the best plan in the world against this guy.
Right.
Who is the key, the straw that stirs the drink for the Dodgers.
Until another book could be written.
Could be.
It's like George R.R. Martin, right? We're still all waiting for him to write another book. Is he the guy that does the Game of Thrones, Connor?
Yes, he is.
Everybody's waiting for his books to still come out. He might never write one. So Ohtani might still be fooled by the Phillies pitchers.
My wife hated that
come
ending.
October.
So did he write that, or did someone else write it?
No, somebody else wrote it because
She hated that
too
ending.
long with the book.
She hated the ending.
Now, here's the thing on the Ohtani thing, just real quick. And I know you said National League, Johnny. You're absolutely correct. But in his career, dude bats 209 against the Yankees. The Dodgers handled them easily in the World Series. So it's not like it's not a guarantee of anything. But it's a great thing to have, though. The Phillies are second.
It certainly would be the number one thing, the pitching staff against the Dodgers. When the Phillies go into their pitching staff pre-series meeting, when they sit down and watch the video and they talk as a group, I guarantee you the number one thing that every team addresses is, how do we approach Ohtani? He's number one.
Oh, absolutely.
That is the number one thing on the list. And then probably you go to Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Which the Phillies didn't have to do this weekend.
Or Mookie Betts.
Oh, my gosh.
Or Max Muncy.
What a
or
absolute,
Barnes.
What an absolute.
Or Teoscar Hernandez. They have so many guys on that lineup they have to worry about.
Would have been nice to steal Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, would have been nice. All right, so speaking of Alec Bohm, I just got to revisit a conversation that we had before the season started. Are we sure he's still in the great headspace that we were told about?
No.
Because every time he gets out, the bat is slammed.
Helmet
is slammed.
Helmet was thrown 2 times, once in Colorado series, once in the Dodgers. And I think they've told him
to stop.
I think that was part of it yesterday.
That's why when I say Bohm benched for a day, was it a rest day or was it cool your jets?
I think he was benched. I think they said, grow up. For God's sakes, would you grow up? At what point do you not learn to conduct yourself like an adult at work? And if you don't, I don't know what to say.
Now look, we've all played baseball. We've all done if we're upset, if it's a big spot and you don't come through, you do the helmet slam.
This is professional baseball.
It's every out.
It's every time he faces adversity.
Yeah.
And they've told him, stop. Your teammates don't like it. Your manager doesn't like it. And you just ignore it. You absolutely ignore it. Or you are not capable of mentally handling playing Major League Baseball. And that might end up being the answer all along.
Well, he's going to play.
No,
whether it's with the Phillies or elsewhere.
But he's not mentally ready to handle it. He's not ready to ever reach the era that they thought that they could get him to.
This is why Connor said, be careful. The PR tour. All of a sudden, he's in a great headspace.
I think he's fine.
Because they didn't.
He's fine. He's already been benched in the first 9 games.
We don't know that he's been benched.
They tried trading him. The trade never happened. So then they have to start doing the whole, we love Alec. He's in a great headspace, blah, blah. And we're already seeing a lot. He may not have been benched. You're right. We don't know until we get information.
Stop it.
You don't know.
What do you mean?
You don't know.
Yeah. There's zero explanation that in the biggest series of the year you're going.
What?
Yes.
There's absolutely 100% explanation. Edmundo Sosa is one of the top 3 players on this team right now.
And he could be, and Edmundo Sosa can be anywhere.
Yeah, but he played for Stott. We didn't say Stott got benched.
No, yeah, I think that they would love both of those guys to be playing better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Both
100%.
of them to be playing better.
I just can't I just can't jump directly to Bohm was benched. I wonder if he was. I'm comfortable asking the question.
I'm comfortable believing I know the answer.
And
I'm almost 100% comfortable knowing that I know the answer.
It's just more the same.
His antics are being talked about on the broadcast again.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the manager and his teammates were clamoring for him to stop doing. And he got benched in the playoffs because of it.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely safe to assume that the antics returning have something to do with him sitting.
Our old buddy Tommy Alvord tweeted this out Saturday night. I've been a big Alec Bohm supporter for years. Can't stand this guy anymore. Now that was after one of the bat slams. And what happens the next day? He's not in the lineup. So maybe he was benched. We're not 100% sure. There's a reason why they tried moving on. Honestly.
They tried.
All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning. Did this series against the Dodgers make you feel better about the Phillies? The conversations we have with a lot of you on social media and text lines, it's more negative than positive. Did this series help you out? So we'll check our text messages for the first time. Also, Bryce Harper spoke before the series. I love what he had to say. I've loved what Bryce Harper has had to say all season long, really.
He's got a lot to say.
He does, and he's got a lot to wear, like more pandering jackets. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on a Championship Monday, Johnny. Championship Mondays on The Fanatic.
I love hearing that.
Presented to us by Pierce Phelps Bryan Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryan.com. And don't forget, we told you last week that starting today, your chance to win $1,000 with us at 8 a.m. every day this week. It also continues with the Mike Missanelli show at 10 and noon, and then the best show ever, 3 and 5. So $1,000 to give away on this show, $2,000 to give away on the other shows, Johnny.
And as we wake today, 150 days to the Eagles opener.
Yeah.
It's a happy day. It is a championship Monday.
You're insane.
Get you right out of bed.
You're insane.
150, baby.
You're insane. The fact that you're like...
It's on the clock. It just looks, when I see the countdown clock, it's on it.
Dude, everything's on the clock. It doesn't mean you have
It
to
is.
look 150 days
150
forward.
days. I'm more excited for like 4 days from now, Friday, just because it's the weekend again.
31
Like,
days.
That's all I'm looking forward to.
31 days till I see a kid get parchment.
That's
And move-
well, that's a worthy countdown
And move-
clock.
and move-
150 till the opener.
More importantly, to when she goes off the books.
Well, yeah, that's the best part.
115 days till she's off the books.
Yeah, you haven't celebrated that one
Oh,
enough.
I can't wait for that.
All right, before the series started against the Dodgers, Bryce Harper was speaking to the media, and so far, pandering aside,
Yes.
Bryce Harper has been tremendous with what he has had to say. I know you were a little bothered about the first base I would move to outfield comment.
I'd be willing to.
I'm just glad that it's out in the ether now, so that when it comes to the trade deadline, if they believe they need to acquire somebody, it's good to know that that's out there. We loved when he said they are no longer the daycare, talking about Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott.
He shut it down. He was the one, the public face of shutting it the hell
and then
down.
was it Stott that said we got to grow up?
Yes.
We were told
Stott
to
said,
grow
yeah,
up.
we were told to grow up.
So Bryce Harper he's already been the leader of this team, but it's clearly, you can clearly tell that he's maybe being a little bit more harsh on some of his teammates, which I'm okay with. All right, especially when he does lead with example as well. It's Schwarber who's normally the more
I think
public speaker.
Yeah, exactly.
But behind
Schwarber's
closed
the
doors,
face
maybe
of
it's
it.
more Harper. We know who
Could be.
knows. So here was Harper before the series started about the Dodgers. And of course, everybody talks about the Dodgers. We literally had a whole show on Friday about whether or not your enjoyment of Phillies baseball is kind of hampered by the Dodgers' potential success this season. Here was Harper talking about that kind of conversation.
I don't know if people like this, but I feel like only losers complain about what they're doing. I think they're a great team. They're a great organization. That's why guys want to go there and play. LA's a great city to play in, obviously. They're at the mecca of kind of the world of everything, right? From food to nightlife to sports, from the Dodgers to the Lakers to anybody. So, no, I mean, they're going to continue to get guys. They're going to continue to pull guys from, this sport. That's bullpen, starting pitching, international players, anything like that. They're doing what the Dodgers do.
I love what he said at the beginning. Only
love that
losers
answer.
complain about what the Dodgers are doing.
I love that answer, especially when John Middleton can do anything
Yeah.
that the Dodgers are doing. You can defer money.
And tried it
You can do your
already.
contract. Hey, you
I
can do
mean,
it.
he bought this team. Like there's a
Right.
couple of homegrown guys, but for the most part, it was free agent signings and trades.
I love that answer from Bryce Harper because it is a loser's mentality to bitch and complain about what the Dodgers do.
Could you imagine if you went into the season? Like, imagine if you're a player in that division. Giants, Padres, Diamondbacks, Rockies probably don't belong in the big leagues. Do you think they go into the season going, what's the point? Because
No.
we played in the same division with the Dodgers?
No, I think they
the
look at
Padres
personal
go,
brands.
we beat that team.
Sure.
The Diamondbacks go, we beat that team.
In October's.
It doesn't have to. We can make the playoffs via the wild card, and we can beat that team in the playoffs, which both of those teams have.
It's one of the flaws of baseball system to me that you play 162.
And it can
and
end
then
in
say,
5.
oh, yeah, now we're going to play 5 to decide. And a team that finished like 25 games behind you could knock you off.
It should just be 7.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I get it. All right, what do we have on the text line so far this morning? Did this series against the Dodgers do anything for you? And obviously, this would be more toward the positive because the Phillies took 2 of 3. I bet you, Johnny, and this is something you said on
Okay.
Friday, if they dropped 2 of 3,
Oh, the sky would have been falling.
we would have had more text messages at this point this morning than what we probably do today because there are people that are more looking for the negative than the positive with this team so far. But
They've given them some fuel, but not enough.
I hope we have some positive
Let's
returns so far this morning.
We do. John from Swedesboro will lead us off today, and he says, yes, of course it makes you feel better about the Phillies. How could it not? Just took 2 of 3 from the quote-unquote best team in baseball. Our team is legit, as it has been the past few years. Just need to start doing this in October.
Yeah, and look, We've seen them do it in October, getting to a World Series, getting to an NLCS. We've seen them do it in October. It's just the way they ended. And then last year obviously sucked. It was a quick October.
It was awful.
That Red October ended pretty quickly.
Bled October.
We'll always have game 2.
It was back to Eagles green. It was Kelly Green October more than Red October last year. But they have done it in the playoffs before. But yeah, I mean, look, when it comes down to it, as horrible as it sounds, it's whether or not you're the hot team, and it's whether or not you have a team that's built to win in the playoffs. And for the most part, this team is because of starting pitching and a decent bullpen. They're going to have to figure out the Romano situation because he was brought in here to be the high leverage situation guy. And if it doesn't change the way he's pitching, and again, velocity, I don't know if he could just improve on that. Following an injury, I don't know if he could just all of a sudden add 2 to 3 miles per hour behind his fastball. It looks slow, and the players that he's pitching to are very comfortable facing him. But other than that, I mean, look, you do have a lineup that can rake. It's just they got to be hot.
Here's it, too, though, is you got to wonder is what does the – and again, I ask it all the time. There's so many things that Rob Thompson does well. Continually putting Jordan Romano into these high-leverage situations that he's easily not prepared for. And the entire fan base can see it, but he can't. The manager can't.
Well, you can't just give up on him.
No. I don't want to give up on him. But I don't want to put him in high-leverage situations against the best bats in the Dodger lineup yesterday and on Friday night to close out a game.
Yeah, but
I don't want that.
It's been 4 games, or 4 appearances for him. So that's a very small sample size for a reliever that's a 2-time All-Star as a closer. Like, he has a resume that you still look at if you're the manager of the team and say, I can put this guy in spots for now. Now,
you can look at it.
This is the point where you got to start giving him 6th or 7th inning.
Yeah.
But
or maybe the Sir Anthony Dominguez route of, all right, we're up big this game.
Yes.
Go out there. Go out.
Work it out
work
then.
on some of your stuff.
You can't do this against the Dodgers.
Did work for a time with Dominguez, and then they traded him to the Orioles last year. But, yeah, you might need to start doing a couple of mop-ups just to get your work in.
There is enough interviews over the years that I've done with Major League Baseball players have said it does, when certain guys are on a bad streak, it can get the entire team to sag. Going, well, what are we doing? Are we catering to them, or are we trying to win this game that day?
Right.
Are we trying to build up this person's confidence, or are we trying to win a game? Win the game.
By the way, speaking of Sir Anthony Dominguez, I hated the trade last year. I'm still not happy with the results. He's looking good with the O's. I think they gave up on him way too early, Dominguez. Just saying.
I don't know. It just is a
5 outings.
Yeah.
6 Ks, 0
there's another guy.
runs.
There's another guy pitching in Toronto.
Yeah.
That you gave up on. That is looking lights out.
Well, this guy they traded away.
Yeah.
Hoffman they had to pay. This guy they traded away for Austin Hayes.
Right?
Bum. All right.
you hate Austin Hayes.
He sucks.
He's
And I
terrible.
thought he was supposed to be the savior. From the beginning, I texted John.
He was supposed to be an everyday player.
I texted John, platoon player, and John goes, no. Topper said he's a starter. I said, what?
Well, but then again, with Topper, you never know what it's going to be because what he says he doesn't do.
All right, coming up next, we'll reset the show. We'll check another text message. Also, we can't not mention history being made yesterday in sports. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another series win for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phils took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend in an awesome series between 2 great teams. The Dodgers came into the series undefeated. Well, that changed over the weekend. Yesterday, Nick Castellanos supplied the offensive firepower with a grand slam in the 3rd inning. So, the Phillies, they showed off the bats, they showed off the pitching, they found a way to win the series. Prior to that series, Scott Lauber of the Inquirer talked with our best show ever on Friday about the Phillies' belief that they can hang with this LA team.
The Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Well, if you're taking this weekend as another proof of concept, it seems like the Phillies have proven that. They're off to today. They'll head to Atlanta for 3 games with the Braves starting tomorrow. Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers are off until Wednesday. And Alexander Ovechkin is now your leading goal scorer in NHL history. He scored goal number 895 yesterday, officially passing Wayne Gretzky. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN will join us coming up at 8:10 for some NFL talk. This update's brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that's built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
97.5 The Fanatic and Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia.
Live here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll reset the show here coming up in a couple minutes and check our text messages. But history was made yesterday. Alexander Ovechkin surpasses Wayne Gretzky for most goals scored in the history of the NHL. I missed it because I was out and about a little bit yesterday, but as soon as I checked my phone, I saw that number 895 hit, which was, it's awesome. I love when history is made, especially that kind of history.
Sure, it's great.
Right? Like, every once in a while, like, the first player to ever do this, and it's like just an obscure stat. That's a legitimate historic mark for Alexander Ovechkin to hit. And
I never thought.
I asked you the question. There's 10 games left. And
I didn't think he'd hit it this year.
Yeah.
But I never thought, if you had asked me 3 years ago, I wouldn't have said that he'd get it done.
Well, because
he's been amazing.
Who knows when he retires? And I do wonder, did the rushing back from the leg injury to maybe try to do it this year, if that's a part of it?
He could. And he could head up the Russian Hockey Federation, they're saying, is that he may end up.
Yeah.
He may end up running Russian hockey.
He turns 40 this year. Like how many more years does he want to get after?
The Caps are the second best team in the NHL, I believe.
Oh, and that helps, yeah.
Do they win the cup again?
Right.
If he wins the second cup, I wouldn't be floored at all. If he
wins his second cup, breaks the record,
Goodbye.
He's out.
Goodbye.
Yeah, I could see that
because
happening.
I do not believe anybody will get that record because it's a different game today.
Yeah,
it's harder for these guys to score goals,
except for Alexander Ovechkin.
He's amazing.
He just goes, I want to score a goal today.
Remember, he had built up those huge goal seasons early.
Right.
That make it a lot harder today.
But he's been
that was amazing.
An incredible career, obviously, and for him to have dealt with the broken leg earlier this year.
Do you see the Russian players in the NHL? How in the younger players in the NBA, a lot of them will move to LeBron and be like,
absolutely.
Can I get a picture with you? Can I do that? The Russian players' reverence for Alexander Ovechkin,
oh my God, yeah,
is unfreaking believable. He's unreal.
Yeah. So congratulations
Good
to
for
him for breaking the record.
By the way,
and yet Wayne Gretzky still has the all-time points. And that's never getting broken.
By like 1 million.
Yeah, that's never getting broken.
I was asked yesterday, do I think Mishkov will come close to that? Because I do think he's going to be a great player.
No.
Yes, I do not think he's going to come close to that record, but I do think Mishkov is a great player and will have a great season. And the reverence he has. I mean, Mishkov's going to end up with a 60-point season as a rookie. That's really good. He got his hopefully he can get his 25th goal. I just think that'd be a nice number.
That'd be nice.
He's doing good.
Yeah, well,
really good.
He's not going to have 895 goals.
No.
No, he's going to have 1,000.
Yeah, he's going to have 1,000. You're right. All right, let's check the text line at 610-632-0975 as you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio powering possibilities. Again, our topic for you to answer today to start, because we're going to get into some Eagle stuff coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. Did this series against the Dodgers do anything for you when it comes to the Phillies? Because for the most part, the conversations surrounding this baseball team from a lot of you, not us, not me, not John, not Connor, we have been positive. We point out when things don't go well. We pointed out Alec Boehm not being in the lineup yesterday. We've pointed out Jordan Romano and his struggles so far this season. We will get into a conversation with more time about Aaron Nola because he has not necessarily been great to start the season. It's okay to point out some flaws with this team without having going over the top and saying, this is why they're going to lose, this is why they stink, this is why I don't believe in them. When they just took 2 of 3 against the defending World Series champions and against a team that a lot of people are predicting to win again this year. That's a good series for the Phillies, and they're now 7-2 to start the season. So did that series do anything for you for a positive way? 610-632-0975. What do we have on the text line?
Yeah, it's kind of a gloomy day outside. It's going to be a gloomy week, so I want to give us a little bit of sunshine.
Good.
Danny
Beautiful.
from Bucks County says, no, it didn't do a thing. They could have easily lost the series as well. Also, they must win the World Series and stop the choker label because that's what this team is. They're chokers.
Oh, so this is the positive sunshine text. That's insane. And look, the series, again, did not do anything for me when it comes to October. It didn't. It was April 4th, 5th, and 6th. I can't come to any sort of determination in the first week of April in a series with a team that you could face come October.
Again, I am the one preaching that you learn something from this.
Yes, you are.
But I'm the one who is also saying if it makes you make a proclamation on what will happen in October, I think you're nuts. I think that is nuts. But if you don't take something away from it, here's what they did at the end of the series yesterday. By the way, just I don't know if you turned it off when the game was over.
I did.
John Kruk, Mike Schmidt, Ricky Batalico, Ruben Amaro Jr.
Couple seam heads there.
They all get four baseball guys. They all gave their, and Tom McCarthy too, another baseball guy, all gave their impressions of what did they learn about the Phillies from the series this weekend. You learned something from watching. You learned something.
Well, you learned something from everything.
Well, that's what it is that you, and that's all my point was on Friday. I had to go back and listen. I had to go back and listen to it just to make sure that I wasn't speaking, Arabic or Chinese, because it was this. All I'm saying is, if your impression of the Phillies and the Dodgers isn't moved in some way by, wow, that opens my eyes. I feel really good about that. From watching that series, I think you're nuts, because I can tell you, Luzardo's performance on Friday night was masterful.
It was masterful.
I went between the two broadcasts because I would go to the Apple.
Where you could do the radio broadcast.
I wanted to listen to Scott Fransky because Scott Fransky's fantastic, and I couldn't do it. It kept cutting out.
Oh, that stinks.
The audio kept cutting out, so I had to go to the Apple broadcast. It wasn't bad.
Right.
Ryan was on with us on Friday, did a good job. But one of the things he said is, I'm in the National League West. He says, this is as good a performance I've seen against this great Dodger lineup that they've had the last 5 years as I've seen, he said with Luzardo. Now, again, as Connor points out, health. We don't know what it'll be in October.
Right.
But his approach.
We don't know what it'll be in June.
His approach and everything. So don't make grand proclamations, but walk away pretty smiling this morning.
Look, I'm smiling because I was entertained, and they took 2 of 3, and I want the Phillies to win more baseball games than they lose. Come October, these teams might be totally different.
They could be.
Right? The Phillies might have a starting center fielder and not be doing a platoon. The Phillies might have a better bullpen arm than Jordan Romano. And that's why I get it. Look, the Luzardo thing, I understand where you're coming from. You saw who will be your number 2 pitcher, maybe. Sanchez will be. Sorry, other lefty. Sanchez will be your number 2 pitcher. Who knows how Nola pitches the rest of the year.
Sure.
Versus Luzardo. Luzardo could end up being the Game 3 guy, or maybe he's your Game 1 pitcher, depending on the series breakdown. Let's say the Phillies have to play in the wild card round. What did they do those 2 years with the Braves? Ranger Suarez was your Game 1 starter against the Braves.
It might be Ranger again. We haven't even seen him throw yet. That's why.
And I am absolutely also, because I'm an adult, I can look at Aaron Nola and say, 2 starts? I'm not writing Aaron Nola off.
Absolutely.
But I can absolutely say him being the gopher ball king of the National League for 2 years now plus, entering into a third. This is the 3rd year of it. Is really bad.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
Here's what his problem. His problem on Saturday, when his stuff is not dancing, and he's hanging those curveballs, he gets in trouble.
And then they were talking yesterday about, well, what's the thing? Well, it really wasn't a great weather day, and he likes pitching in the heat. That was the he likes pitching in the heat. So you got to understand he doesn't like pitching in cooler temperatures. I'm like, okay, guys. You have gone to the excuse book of Aaron Nola, and you're paging through it, and you're fine. Oh, we'll use this one, and we'll use this one. Or you could just say, he's been throwing gopher balls in cool weather, hot weather, mild weather for 3 years now. So stop with the excuses. Acknowledge what he's bad at, and don't give up on him. And acknowledge what he's great at. You can do both.
Yeah.
But the apologists for Aaron Nola are out of control.
32 home runs allowed in 2023. Last year led the major leagues
with 30.
With
right?
30
in the National League too.
And 4 through 2
and
starts.
He is exactly. He's given up 66 home runs since the beginning of the 2023 season. This is more than a trend.
Yeah,
this isn't. Good. And I'm hearing them going, yeah, well, he doesn't like pitching in the cooler weather. When it gets to the warmer weather, then he's going to be. Dude, he was giving up gopher balls the last 2 summers. What are you talking about? It's the same. It's the problem. Acknowledge the problem, but then say, hey, but he battles. Buddy gives you innings. Buddy's always healthy. You can mark all the check marks of all the positive things, but don't start making crap up.
Yes, I got
Don't
you.
start with that stuff.
All right, give us one more text message, Connor.
All right. We also have a check-in here from Larry in Delco, who goes the opposite direction of our last texter, Danny. He says, see you on Broad Street. This series got me hyped because there's a sense of urgency from the gang, and I also think they're going to get more help at the deadline.
That's beautiful. We got this series did nothing. They're chokers, and then the other text is see you on Broad Street. And by the way, I'm not willing to just say let's see what they do at the deadline, thinking they'll do something.
Well, I mean,
I thought they were going to be aggressive last year. They were not.
And you thought that, by the way, they said before last year and before the year before, we have the resources. We can be aggressive if we want to.
Yeah.
Both years they chose not to be.
Well,
and by the way, they also told you that there wasn't going to be a platoon in center field.
And
there wasn't going to be, where.
Yeah, all those things already happened.
Brandon.
And Alec Boehm's coming with the great
Right,
attitude.
exactly.
We'll see. We'll see
You
what
were
happens.
lied to.
We got.
You were lied to.
Sniff that one out right away.
You did.
All right.
You never fell for it.
You can text in at 610-632-0975. Never fall for a PR stunt. Coming up next, we'll get back into football a little bit, Johnny, because I got clickbaited this morning.
You did?
And it's for something I don't even care about, which is the worst part.
Politics?
No, it's about football.
Because I see people do that every day.
But this is an excuse to bring up football because later this hour, we get into the blessing and the curse of John Kincade. It is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Sixers win. Play that song.
The Philadelphia.
show where we give credit where credit is due. Before I give you this clickbait that got me, we didn't really talk about it because Romano was still a mess afterward, and then Kirkering ends up giving up the tying run on the sack fly.
Which, by the way, I don't.
No, he's fine. Yeah.
I love what I'm seeing out of Ryan Kirkering.
The fact that he only gave up one run when he comes into the game, bases loaded, nobody out, is amazing. But that catch by Brandon Marsh, we talked about him last week and how he's a very careful outfielder, which sometimes hurts them. He made a hell of a play.
He did.
And I want to give him his credit for it.
He did make a hell of a play.
Yes.
I don't think he had a great break on it, though.
What?
I think he made it more difficult. Go watch again. I think as far as the break on the ball, and they talked about it after the game on the post game, is that with Rojas just catches that ball.
I don't think so.
Rojas doesn't catch that ball.
Rojas catches it.
Rojas isn't diving for that ball.
Right. Well, this I don't think that had anything to do with break. I think
Rojas is not diving for that ball. It's the cautious nature of the way he plays that made that play more.
I think Rojas is just much faster.
Well, then I say the center. You've got a center fielder that isn't diving for that ball.
Okay, I'm just saying, great catch.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Who's hitting, by the way, a hell of a lot better too. And yeah. Just saying.
I just wanted to give the guy credit.
No, I got you.
I'm like the biggest Brandon Marsh, anti-Brandon Marsh guy.
I gave Brandon Marsh credit yesterday while tweeting with fans during the game. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Great job.
Yeah, I didn't get the bad break on the ball.
I got a better thing. It's just a cautionary break, I believe is how it was described.
Okay. That's not what I'm saying.
I disagree with that description.
That's good.
Just, seam head on seam head crime. That's all. All right, so I got clickbaited this morning.
How'd you do that?
And again, I don't care at all because I said this guy would not be good and that a team would make a mistake drafting him. Trey Lance has signed with a team. So, I Trey Lance stinks.
I didn't even see that he signed with a team.
Good for you. That means my algorithm's different. I see slop, apparently, because Trey Lance stinks. He was not going to be good with the Niners. They made too big of a deal with him going to the Cowboys, thinking that he'd be some reclamation project.
Yes.
When they wouldn't even put him in the game when Dak got hurt.
Dak got out, and they wouldn't use him.
And Cooper Rush against the Eagles. Remember, Cooper Rush was horrible. It took till the fourth quarter to finally put Trey Lance in the game. But whatever, he stinks. But I got
good job, Shanny.
The headline. Former 49ers, Cowboys quarterback Trey Lance signing with Super Bowl contender. Now, first and foremost, I should not have clicked on the article because I don't care about Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is not going to play. Whatever team he's going to, especially if it's a Super Bowl contender.
Super Bowl contender.
Now, the reason why it's relevant is because this team is on the Eagles' schedule, which is why I figured it'd be worth bringing it up. No.
So they're bringing back Wentz?
That's a good question. I don't know what they're doing. He is signing with the Chargers.
Super Bowl contender?
That's my first reaction.
The Los Angeles Chargers are a Super Bowl contender?
When I clicked on the article, which I should not have done from the beginning.
Yeah, because
I don't care about Trey Lance.
You got roped into that one.
But when I saw Super Bowl contender, I said, all right, let me see who they're calling a Super Bowl contender. The love affair with Herbert, and I think Harbaugh's a good coach. Don't get me wrong.
I think he's a very good coach.
But the love affair that they have, especially with Herbert, is the reason why they're calling him this team a Super Bowl contender.
They're out of their minds.
They're not Super Bowl contenders.
You realize we just watched Justin Herbert in a playoff game this year.
Yes.
Against a good Houston team. In no way are they anything more than just a little above average.
They didn't have the Eagles' defense.
They made him look like a clown.
4 interceptions.
Which, by the way, it was statistically one of the worst quarterback performances in a playoff game in over a decade.
Yeah.
What the hell are they talking
about? Now,
they
won 11 games last year, so maybe they're saying if you get into the playoffs, you're
that Justin Herbert's going to finally learn how to play?
That one was amazing to me. And so when I read this and I go, all right, so the Eagles are playing this Super Bowl contender, is it wrong of me to just be like, yeah, I'm not worried about the Chargers?
Yeah.
Already on April 7th?
It is because one of the things that Jim Harbaugh's teams can do is they can drag you into a phone booth. If you guys are a little young for phone booths, but we used to have them.
Hey, what was that movie called where the guy was in the phone booth? Was it called Phone Booth? Do you remember that movie?
No.
Oh, dude. He was on the phone the whole time. It was almost like Speed. Remember, you couldn't go over a certain mile.
Okay, right.
He couldn't leave the phone booth or somebody was going to die.
Sounds riveting.
Yeah, it sounds really good. But they can pull you into a phone booth where you have no room to move. I respect the hell out of Harbaugh.
Yeah, but aren't
and if
the
there's any
Eagles-
coach, by the way, if there's any coach who could take Trey Lance and make him into a passable, take that and pay a passable sandwich, it's him. So
Yeah, or he just stinks. He might not be good.
could be.
But here's the deal. If you're playing in a phone booth, isn't the Eagles the best team to try to win
No,
that
I
phone
would agree
booth
with you.
fight?
No, I agree with you.
Like, all right, you want to go.
I'm not worried about playing the.
We're
Chargers.
controlling the clock in this game? All right, we have Saquon Barkley in the offensive line.
Do I believe though that the Chargers could beat the Eagles in LA next year? Sure, they could.
Yeah, but they adopted the phone booth. We were born in the phone booth. The Philadelphia Eagles were built for this.
Now your mom's delivering you in a phone booth would be very difficult.
That'd be interesting.
Be very difficult.
By the way, phone booth. Colin Farrell, Kiefer Sutherland, Forrest Whitaker.
I have
It's
no
a great
idea about
cat,
this
dude.
movie. It wasn't like
Came out in 2002.
everybody get down on the bus. I need you to get down.
Oh,
Everybody,
you didn't like that movie?
Everybody
Oh, come
down.
on, man. Speed was great.
Man, there's like high school. There are high school plays where you could see better
I
acting
love
than that.
Speed, man. Keanu.
Oh my
You
god.
had the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off on the bus.
Oh, Matt Broderick? Or
No, the other
No,
one.
The other
his
guy.
friend that wore the
The
red,
one that
wore
talked
the
like
yeah
this.
the Red Wings jersey.
The one who talked like that. The one who was from Succession.
Yes,
The oldest brother in Succession.
So the Chargers are apparently Super Bowl contenders. I laugh at that. So coming
That's
up
great.
next, speaking of all of this, the blessing and the curse of John Kincade.
Well, there's plenty of those.
For today's sake,
Better be a long segment.
the blessing is content. The curse is being concerned for something 150 days from now.
It is a curse.
If you missed it earlier, John brought up that the opener is 150 days from now.
Make your plans.
John's already concerned. That's the blessing and curse of John Kincade. We dive deeper into it coming up next on Kincade Salciunas on this Monday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies take 2 of 3. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies took 2 out of their 3 games against the Dodgers over the weekend. It was an awesome series between 2 of the top teams in baseball, and yesterday the firepower was supplied by Nick Castellanos. A grand slam in the 3rd inning. Back and forth game after that, but the Phillies found a victory, and they don't seem daunted by the task of taking on the Dodgers. Prior to the series, Scott Lauber of the Inquirer talked about the Phillies' belief that they can hang with L.A.
And the Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Well, we got more proof positive of that over the weekend. Phils are off today. They're going to head down to Atlanta. They play 3 games against the Braves starting tomorrow. Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers off till Wednesday. And Alex Ovechkin scored goal number 895 on Sunday, officially passing Wayne Gretzky for the most in NHL history. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is going to join the guys coming up at 8:10 to talk some NFL. This update's brought to you by Rapid Radios. Their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Sports.
blessings and curses to John. I guess I could ask your wife more about that because she would probably be able to explain more the blessing and curses of John Kincade.
Oh, believe me, she could write a book.
But John sent me an email yesterday for some content ideas, which I really appreciate.
Good.
And the one that really caught my eye, because the majority of it was Phillies-Dodgers, which I knew we were going to be getting into. The little nuggets that we can throw in there throughout the course of the show, which is always important. But John added something about the Eagles. And I was amazed.
Well, it was 150 days. I didn't want to let a holiday like that pass. I wanted people to be able to celebrate.
I'm pretty loose with holiday term.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate the
I'm
fact
like Madonna.
that you reminded me that it's 150 days.
Yes.
But what I found interesting was like your follow-up topic to the 150 days from now, and it's about the young defense, the new look defense that we will eventually see because they still have to draft players, second wave of free agency. There's going to be trades, you name it. There's going to be a new look defense.
There's going to be a lot of that. Yeah.
After losing Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay, Oren Burks. They lost a lot of guys after winning the Super Bowl. And you're already concerned about something 150 days from now.
Okay, now it's concern because I'm sitting there and first of all, I'm dying for I love football so much. So I just can't wait to see it. But what I'm thinking of is this young defense is going to be younger than even I guess any one of us thought it was going to be. Is that fair?
Well, yeah, if you talk about off the books, not financially, age off the books, Brandon Graham's gone.
But we thought that some guys were going. But, I thought, okay, maybe they'll be able to keep Slay. Or maybe they'll surprise us with, something.
Andrew DeCecco was stunned that once Slay left that they didn't get Rodgers to
Correct. So this team got even younger than we expected.
Yeah.
They were the youngest defense last year. They're going to be younger this year. Distinctly younger. And to me, I then started to look at the opponents for the upcoming season.
Because we don't have the schedule yet, so we can't.
We just know the opponents.
We can't do W's and L's. That's not for another month and a half.
Yeah, and I will call in sick that day. You know what? Do it. You can do W's and L's maybe on Liv's graduation. Okay. Be a perfect day for you guys to do it. All I was looking at was the opponents for next year, and I'm saying to myself, who do I not want to face early? If I have a young defense looking to get its footing. And if I was to say to you, okay, here, most importantly, I'm going to stick to the home game is Detroit and then the local games.
Right.
Detroit and the Rams at home. And then if I'll give you the top 3 road games, Kansas City, Buffalo, Green Bay. What is the one that you want to not see them face early? Who would you prefer that they don't see early?
We're revisiting Friday's topic.
Okay.
I don't care, man.
You really don't care. You don't see that there's any kind of potential disadvantage for this young defense to have to face. What if the season's look? We're convinced it's going to be Detroit, the Rams, or the Commanders to start the year.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're going to have one of those really hard games to start. What if week 2 you're playing Monday Night Football at Buffalo?
Bring them on.
And
Let's
then
rock.
you play, and then week 3 they somehow give you at Minnesota.
Let's go.
Wow, I'm telling you.
See you soon.
I'm telling you, I think that is. I would rather see them have an not easier, but a little takeoff period. Where they have a chance to work some kinks out.
Yeah, but then I watched 2 years ago they had a takeoff period, and when the gauntlet was middle of the season, they collapsed. They didn't take off middle of the season.
No, I got you.
They spiraled out of control and burned.
Well, I got you.
It was really bad. So, it doesn't really matter to me. The only thing that I'm hoping for whenever the schedule does come out, and we do W's and L's Day, can't wait for it. It's my favorite day of the year, Johnny, is that it's not like that gauntlet where it's 4 weeks in a row you're playing a playoff team.
Yeah, but it's gonna be.
I know it's going to be, but I hope it's not as when that schedule came out 2 years ago. We knew that stretch was going to be hard,
brutal.
We knew it, and they won the first couple games, right? They beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills, And we're going, all right, they're doing pretty good to start this gauntlet. And then we all know what happened afterward. I would like it for it not to be like a month and a half.
The 49ers tore their souls out.
Yes, they did.
And I do not believe that any team will do that to the Eagles organization again.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, I don't know. Like, I get why you're having the thought. Like, hey, especially now that they don't play preseason, right?
Sure.
Like, you want the first 4 games to be an extension of the preseason and it's lesser teams. But you could say the exact same thing. You could be doing a show right now in Buffalo saying, man, would you rather have an easier schedule to start the season or a more difficult schedule to start the season? Because they also don't play in the preseason. Maybe a little bit more than the Eagles, but the Eagles have won a Super Bowl, been to 2 now in the last 3 seasons, so it's working out for them. Last year, if you look at the beginning of the season, the Packers game, they gave up 29 points, and they were, same thing, very young defense,
Sure.
inexperienced defense, new-look defense. 29 points, then 22 to the Falcons, which they shouldn't.
Yeah, but remember the last drive,
I know.
which was atrocious defense.
12 points to the Saints that scored like 900 in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then the Saints ended up being a fraud.
Yeah, and then
We
the,
ended up- they
the
were
Bucks
fraud.
game they give up 33, but I still look
The
back.
Bucks game was terrible defense.
The offense was horrible. Remember
It was.
they played the Eagles defense had to play 4 drives in the first quarter.
It was terrible.
That's and it was 100 degrees and blah blah blah.
Oh, yeah.
So the defense wasn't clicking the first 4 weeks like we saw them click the rest of the way. So
No,
you
but you-
could see the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It's just something I'm thinking about.
But like,
Is that
what are
looking
the
at
other
it going,
are the other defenses clicking?
Would I rather see I'd love to see an early Dallas game. I'd love to see an early Giants game.
See, I like the mid of the season and end of season.
So you'd rather see the softer games at the end?
Well, I'm thinking division. You're right; they are softer.
Like
But-
I would rather get a leg up in the division because I do believe they'll win the division. But I'd like to get a leg up in the division, get a couple division
Yeah.
wins under your belt. I wouldn't mind seeing 2 division games in September. You know, get that a little bit out of the way that you feel like you're on
Yeah,
a
but
footing.
you know what? You look back at it, their last 5 weeks were softer last
Oh, my
year.
gosh, was soft.
Panthers. I know that they barely
Yeah,
beat
but
the
remember,
Panthers, but
20
the Panthers stink.
Yes,
The Steelers, we ended up finding out, weren't
weren't what they
totally
were.
real. The Commanders beat you, but that's the game that Hurts
Right.
gets concussed. The Cowboys were atrocious, and
Terrible.
the Giants were atrocious.
Okay,
so
but then-
that kind of worked, and
Yeah,
they
but
were
go
able to sit the guys at
Go
the
back
end.
to 2024, 2023.
23. Well, of course,
The
that
end
was
of the-
Cardinals,
so fun.
Seahawks.
The end of the
Yeah.
year
Giants.
schedule was weak as hell that year.
Yeah, but are we
Like, I want that. I can get that. But I think this year, it really may benefit from just getting them a little bit of a
So you
a
want
softer
it
takeoff.
to you want it to
Not
be
not-
easier earlier.
How about this? Of the first 5 games, well, first off, I believe the bye week's going to come like probably late October because they usually how the NFL does it. They're not going to get an early
Week
bye.
5 again,
They're not
right.
going to get an early bye.
The greatest bye week in the history of the NFL.
But I never want the bye to be too late. I love it right more towards
Yeah,
the middle.
toward the middle, yep.
So to me, I would just like it to say the gauntlet comes in the second half. Because there's going to be a gauntlet.
There's going to be at some
When you have
point,
this
yeah.
many tough, when you got to play Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay, Minnesota, by the way, Tampa on the road,
Yep.
who is always a problem
That's
for you.
5 playoff teams already.
Then you throw in the Chargers on the road.
6.
Cross country. That's 6 of your road games. Commanders on the road.
7.
7 of your
You play
9
them
road
twice, so 8 playoff teams.
No, 7 of your 9 road games, though. 7 of your 9 road games.
Yeah.
You get Dallas and the Giants. And Dallas can always be dicey, no matter what they are.
Yeah.
The road schedule is the most brutal in Eagles history, and I'm just already thinking about it. And that's stupid, but I was just
150
I'm excited.
days from now, he's already thinking about. And
by the way-
I really hope that it's an easier
By the
start
way,
to the season.
Do you know what dragged me into this? Well, you talk about algorithms?
No, what dragged you into it?
Nerding on NFL
Okay.
on X. Nerding on NFL.
Oh, that is the account.
It actually speaks to me.
Well, you are a nerd.
It speaks to me. This content speaks to me. But it wasn't. They weren't bringing up my topic. They were just bringing up the issue of the schedule for the Eagles. That's the worst road schedule any team has potentially ever had.
Oh, it's going to be difficult, but I can't worry about it in April.
I got you. Well, what are you worried about? Jordan Romano? How much can you worry about Jordan
I'm
Romano?
not worried about much at all.
You shouldn't have much
The
to worry
Sixers are
about.
out of the playoffs. The Flyers out of the playoffs. I don't have to worry about them. I just have to worry about.
Well, then you have to
worry about ping pong balls.
Well, then you have to turn your attention to something.
No, but what I'm saying is it's still too early for the Phillies for me to worry about much, except for the things that I already came into the season with, like the center field experiment, Alec Bowman, his great mindset when he's already been benched for slamming bats and helmets, allegedly.
And we can't worry about ping pong balls because we don't even get to be in the room. So when they fix it, we don't get to see it.
All right,
when they have you know what's great is when they say our consulting firm supervises to make sure that there's no chicanery. I'm like, what the hell? You don't think the NBA could pay off a consulting firm?
Let's see if the NBA would like Philadelphia to be relevant again, the NBA.
Or do they want to punish them again for thinking they were the smartest people in the room?
Raise the flag, man. That guy can play. All right, coming up next. Off of that conversation about gauntlets and defenses and young defenses and inexperienced defenses, I want to do a topic that we did last year.
Interesting.
It's about losing some key players and which loss we believe will hurt the most. We will each give an answer, and if you want to text them in now, which defensive player or offensive player, if there were any other than Mekhi Becton, you think would be the biggest loss for the Eagles, text them in, 610-632-0975. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you, so text us at 610-632-0975. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Championship Monday morning. Presented to us by our friends at Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. Here's what we got coming up on the show. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN is going to be joining us coming up at 8:10. Always love talking to Jeremy. We can get into the latest with the tush push, what's being said behind the scenes. Draft is right around the corner. It'll be 2 weeks from Thursday. And don't forget, Andrew DeCecco will be with us in studio to talk more about the draft on Thursday, as he's going to be doing. Because Jeremy's coming on at 8:10, we're going to move headlines up to 8 o'clock, right?
Don't
start
miss
of the
that.
8 o'clock hour. You never want to miss today's headlines with Connor Tom.
You want good news, too? You want
I
some
always
good
like
news?
good news, yes.
It's miserable outside today and everything.
It sure is.
It is going to be beautiful tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday for the Phillies-Braves series.
I love that.
So no worry about the Phillies giving up. You're
You're talking about in the ATL.
down in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
you're going to have really good weather. The only chance of rain, by the way, for Augusta is Friday in the second round, probably in the afternoon, maybe late
Okay.
afternoon.
I forgot
So
it was Masters Week.
It's Masters
You of
week.
all people?
Well, listen.
Oh, my gosh.
It starts
Fake
Thursday.
golf guy, huh?
It starts Thursday, so I haven't got there. Baseball over golf.
Whoa. It starts Wednesday. You got the whole one
Yeah.
competition.
Not the
whole
hole in
one.
one, the par
No,
three
par
contest.
Par three.
Try and show
But
me
it's
up.
really, it is.
That's how much I follow.
It is it's an amazing week. But weather was a little bad over the weekend.
Yeah, well,
and
we
now
survived.
look, you don't want to get one of the things that is sneaky in baseball is a lot of rainouts early.
Especially early on. Yeah.
It starts taking away your days off and everything like that down the line. You want it to be good weather.
Also at 8 o'clock, before we get to headlines, your chance to win $1,000.
Oh, yes.
With our company-wide contest. So we'll give you the keyword coming up in a little bit. All right. So we talked about the defense and how it is going to look new this year. I mean, you lost Josh Sweat, who was a starting edge rusher. You lost Milton Williams, who, even though he didn't start, still played almost 50% of the snaps because of Jordan Davis's limitations. Very good at what he is good at, but his limitations. You lost your starting cornerback in Darius Slay, your starting safety in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. You lost your first guy off the bench who would replace Darius Slay in Isaiah Rodgers. You lost your first guy off the bench who would replace Nakobe Dean whenever he gets hurt, which has been happening in Oren Burks. So it's going to be a new-look defense. Now, I want to ask all of you this question, and if we have any text messages about it, please let me know, Connor. Who do you believe is the biggest loss? Now, if you remember, we had this conversation last year, Jason Kelce versus Fletcher Cox, and I think we all agreed that Fletcher Cox was the bigger loss
We all
because
did.
of how successful he played in 2023.
I kept all the tweets, but I did some good screenshots because last year I was very adamant going, could you name me 3 centers in the NFL?
Right. Yeah.
Because people were so obsessed with Jason Kelce being gone. I'm like, Jason Kelce being gone will not be a big storyline for the Eagles. Not only did I believe in his replacement, but centers don't tend to make that big an impact.
Right.
And it ended up being 100% true.
Well, then again,
They didn't miss him at all.
Then again,
no, he had a better year.
right.
They had a better year at center this year than they did statistically from their center the previous 2 years
But
of
then
Jason
again,
Kelce.
the Fletcher Cox loss didn't seem to be all that bad either.
It wasn't as bad. It
Right?
wasn't
Like,
what we thought.
They ended up not missing either
I
of
know
those
who
guys,
I-
respectfully.
I know who I think.
All right, give me an answer.
I wonder if it's going to match either one of you. Josh Sweat.
You think that's the biggest loss?
Yep.
That's very low on my list.
Josh Sweat's the one I think will be the biggest loss.
Explain.
Because I think it is an extremely small sample size for me to believe, and I am a huge fan, as anybody who listens to the show knows, to believe that Nolan Smith is an answer that I can mark up with a Sharpie and say this guy is going to be a stud for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
And if Nolan Smith isn't, what's your pass rush look like? What's your edge rusher look like? It's what?
Rotational pieces, man.
Yeah. Spare parts? Like to me, that is the biggest. I know this. I could count on Josh Sweat, though he used to have these large gaps.
Yeah.
Sort of like somebody who loses they lose who they are for a while. They get amnesia. I could count on Josh Sweat that I sort of knew what I was going to get relatively, and he delivered it last year. Without him, you are counting on Nolan Smith to be an answer. I'm willing to say Nolan Smith is an answer, and I'm writing it in pencil because he hasn't proven it long enough to me.
Okay.
And I love Nolan Smith's game, and I'm rooting like hell for him. Nolan Smith, there are guys who are going to be drafted in the NFL this year that are older than Nolan Smith.
Right.
So think about it that way. He has a lot of upside.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I need to see a little more to be a believer.
Now, I'll stay on the line. I am going to go with the idea of Milton Williams, the production of Milton Williams. Now, the reason why I say Milton Williams is I very strategically said the limitations with Jordan Davis. Like, Jordan Davis is, as you have given the numbers out multiple times, one of the best run stuffers.
Yep.
Run stuffers.
He's one-dimensional.
And when they rotate, Vic Fangio found the perfect formula last year. When to rotate him off the field and when to put Milton Williams on the field. Obviously, you had a couple of good moments for Moro Ojomo at times during the season, but you're not ready to just say Nolan Smith is going to be great.
Absolutely not.
I am nowhere close to saying Moro Ojomo is going to have anywhere near the production of Milton Williams. Now, look, I was not going to pay Milton Williams.
I was not either.
I would not have paid Josh Sweat what he got, right? Like, I would not have given the guys the money that they got. Good for them. I'm very happy for them both. Thanks for winning the Super Bowl. Congratulations on your payday.
You're legendary forever. You're part of a legendary team.
Good luck with where you're at now. So I'm not saying like, I would have paid Milton Williams. So that's why I'm going to miss him. If anything, my answer should have been Darius Slay because I wish he was back. But Milton Williams, that production that he was able to provide, knowing that your other defensive tackle that he rotated with is so limited, even though he's exceptional in what he does well, that's the one that I think will be the biggest loss for the team, especially in today's NFL. The up-the-middle pressure against quarterbacks has been the thing that has been causing quarterbacks the most fits, and you saw it in the Super Bowl.
How much do you ask if he fed off of just Jalen Carter, though?
That absolutely could be the case.
He was singled a lot.
Could be the case.
He won't be singled anymore
Which is why $100 million,
now,
I think the Patriots totally overpaid.
Okay, now the question is this. Bet right now, coin flip, yes or no. Connor has one of our two names.
Yes.
I say no.
You're
you
correct,
gave
Johnny.
it away. You gave it away.
Well,
but I don't know who Connor's name is.
I'm guessing it's either Slay or Isaiah Rodgers.
I was thinking Isaiah Rodgers.
My first thought was not a name mentioned yet.
Really?
Was Brandon Graham.
Okay, tell us why.
That was more of a leadership conversation.
Okay.
Because we talked about the youth of the defense, and I know Vic Fangio is a great leader as a coach, but you need a voice of a player as well. And he was by far like the vocal leader of that defense, the senior member.
Maybe a little too much at times.
Yeah, sometimes a little too vocal.
Yeah, he stepped in it quite a few times.
A little too vocal.
Now, if I'm going strictly on the field, it's Slay, and it's not close. Like, none of the players that you lost this offseason remotely have the resume of Darius Slay. Like, of guys that you lost in the league, not counting Brandon Graham, who retired. So I'll go Slay as far as on the field, but overall, I'm really interested to see how the defense holds up without Brandon Graham there, because I think his leadership made up for a lot of losing Fletcher Cox. Now you don't have either of those guys, or Slay.
The reason why I didn't say Slay is because they did have a replacement, but they didn't bring him back either.
I still can't believe 2 years, $12 million wasn't.
Yeah,
they're real. They saw something in Isaiah Rodgers they didn't like, and I wouldn't have bet on that. He would have, but I didn't.
As Andrew DeCecco has said, up to $12 million. So it's not like he got.
It's not even guaranteed.
He didn't get this huge guaranteed contract.
Sure.
So the Eagles, to your point, they either saw something or because they're trying to do cost cutting, maybe they said, look, we just can't pay the guy right now. And it could end up being a mistake. Just like trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson could have been a mistake. By the way, none of us said him. How about that?
No.
Coming up next, we'll reset the show. And again, an earlier edition of today's headlines with Connor Thomas, plus your chance to win $1,000. All comes your way next here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A big series win. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phils took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend. It was an awesome series in general. 2 of the best teams in ball out there competing, and the Phillies got the best of the Dodgers yesterday. Big part of it was Nick Castellanos supplying the offensive firepower. A grand slam in the third inning. Great swing by Nick. Prior to the series, Scott Lauber of the Inquirer talked about the Phils' belief that they can hang with the Dodgers, even though a lot of people look at the Dodgers as this unbeatable juggernaut.
The Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think you know. I mean, I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Well, they proved a little bit of that over the weekend. The Phils have the day off today. They're going to head down to Atlanta, take 3 games against the Braves starting tomorrow. That's the plan. Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers are off till Wednesday. Alex Ovechkin, well, he made big news over the weekend. He scored goal number 895 on Sunday, officially passing Wayne Gretzky for most in NHL history. We're going to talk to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN coming up at 8:10 for a little NFL talk. This update's brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Vitalik.
'15 minutes, we'll be joined by our man Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. So we got a nice, fun 8 o'clock hour ahead. We're going to talk more about Aaron Nola as well toward the bottom of the hour. We've mentioned him a few times today, but we do have to have a conversation. All right?
We're going to have an objective one.
Yes.
which is different than most people are willing to have.
On both sides. Because there are he stinks,
yes.
and then there's the,
Right.
hey, stop, he's really good.
That's why I said we're going to have an objective
Hell yeah,
conversation.
man. That's what this show was all about. Objectivity,
That's
Johnny.
what we're about.
All right. Here's what we've been talking about so far today. Phillies with their nice series win over the Dodgers. Did that series win do anything for you? Because there are a lot of people that are leaning toward the negative all the time with the Phillies, despite their 7-2 start and a 2-3 series against the Dodgers, who just won the World Series last year and got even better this offseason. Oh, by the way, the 2 wins for the Phillies this series, the first 2 losses to the Dodgers 2025 season. They were undefeated coming into this series. So did that series win do anything for you? It does nothing for me in the month of April. But John saw what he saw with Jesus Luzardo and is feeling pretty good come playoff time already.
I'm feeling really good about that.
I just can't get excited for 6 months from now.
And again, what I would say to you is that exactly what I said on Friday is exactly why I feel good today. I wanted to see, the number one thing I wanted to see, how did the Phillies starting pitching handle the Dodgers?
Right.
Because if you don't have the starting pitching, that team is just they're going to just knock you out of the park. They're going to kill you.
Absolutely will.
And even Nola, who got knocked out of the park a couple times, he still managed to do a pretty nice job.
And knocked out of the park by one guy twice. With Teoscar Hernandez.
It's unbelievable.
And then we've opened up some Eagles stuff as well. Johnny is already concerned about the potential gauntlet early in the season.
We know the gauntlet's coming.
Yeah, we just don't know what the schedule's yet.
There's so many games.
But Johnny already has a preference for something that's 150 days from now.
Well, really, it's not. Because we're going to know the schedule.
You're right.
By
next month.
Probably 5 weeks from now.
Yeah.
By the way, the day of I take off for Liv's graduation day, you can't do W's and L's because it'll be the next week the schedule's released.
Yeah, we're going to do W's and L's with you, and I'm going to try to find another formula to get it out of you. And
what if we tied him up and just like handcuffed him to the chair or something? Forced this time.
Maybe. That might be more fun. Torture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, live on the air, the first ever torture
Tell us where the
radio
wins
bit
are.
in Philadelphia
The
Sports
torture for me right now is hearing people during, like at church the other night, hearing people just where you can time them clearing their throat.
Oh, well,
because
yeah,
of all the allergy stuff.
Man.
There's a thing called Zyrtec.
Not everybody wants to take Zyrtec.
And they even have knockoff Zyrtec. You can go buy it.
Not everybody wants to take knockoff Zyrtec.
Here it was in church the other night. Fowler Riley trying to deliver some, insights to help you live your life. And it's, and I'm literally counting going, 3, 2, and then you got the person in front of you going, like you can take something for this stuff. You can take it.
Just focus on the
medication.
Homily and let the people clear their throat.
You can't unless Father Riley starts screaming it.
In the house of God, you're not allowed to clear your throat.
Oh, but when it's like timed, you can do that. It's terrible. I'm just glad that I'm not in a plane right now because on a plane you really hear it.
I think Father didn't have you captured. If you're more focused on the throat clearing and what's being preached,
you take that up with Father Riley.
Maybe been a rough day for Father Riley.
No, don't besmirch Father Riley in my presence.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Give us one text message so that I can hit this at 8 o'clock on the dot, Connor, because that's the only way that people can text in the key words.
All right, we have a check in here from John V, who says Nola has home run issues, but the Phillies bats could have won that game easily as well.
And that's what we said.
Romano's not okay right now. Leave him at home. But I had a great time watching the Phillies over the weekend. There are more people excited at the ballpark than not.
That's good.
Well, especially when you take 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. I would imagine that the excitement was there. And to his point, even game 2, when the bats weren't alive, when you're still coming down to the wire, you're still... they're doing the pump up the crowd in the 9th inning. Let's hear some noise.
I got to tell you, I've been down twice so far this year of the early games. It's been quieter than normal.
Well, because I think everyone
weather also can play into that.
Yeah, weather doesn't help. And I think
starting with the Rockies.
And I think people are thinking big picture more so than most in recent years. All right, let's give away $1,000.
The Fanatic signing bonus.
All right, your chance to win $1,000. The keyword is contest. CONTEST, contest. So you have 25 minutes to enter the keyword contest for this $1,000 contest. One random entry wins $1,000 in this company-wide contest. The winner will get a call from Beasley. So be sure to answer your phone. All right. Not Malik Beasley, but Beasley Media Group. Contest rules at 975thefanatic.com. The signing bonus sponsored by Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Voted best casino in PA by Casino Player Magazine. Of course, your next chance to win is at 10 o'clock with the Mike Missanelli Show.
The word literally is contest?
Yes. CONTEST. For your chance to win $1,000 in this company-wide contest. And now, time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
You see how I weaved in and out of that so professionally?
Contest.
Yeah, it's
you gave
almost
me
like
plenty of time.
It's almost like I'm talking about Hughes Johnson's or whatever it is.
Yes.
What do we got, Connor? And who is this brought to us by?
All right, it's brought to us by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name. Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com.
What do we got?
We got a big game tonight is what we got, boys. We had a wild Final Four over the weekend, and now the men's national championship tonight. Houston, Florida. Johnny, we know you're pulling for the Gators.
Yes. By the way, it's $77.20. I was wrong.
Ooh, look at that.
My free bet cashes in for $77.20.
Nice little payday there.
I'll take that.
Are you guys going to stay up and watch, or are you zoned in on it? No.
I will tell you right now, I will not stay up and watch. If anything, it'll be a put it on when I lay in the bed.
In the morning. Go watch it when we get it.
No, because it will have
too late.
It will have 0.1% of our show tomorrow. I will not be rewatching it at 4 a.m.
Then we do one shining moment at like midnight.
I love one shining moment.
I don't care.
I also love the fact that I'm going to win like over $100 tonight either way.
Yeah, because
I like that very much.
The
That's
hedge.
good.
Because I got a bracket where if Florida wins, I win like $150, and Houston, I'll just bet a money line for like $100, and either way, we're making money tonight. So fun night.
Yeah,
in sports.
850 is typically when I'm in a different headspace, and it's not long after that where my head hits the pillow and I'm out. So
Fair enough.
go Gators for Johnny's purposes.
Now, something else that's supposed to be fun might not have been as fun for this specific minor league player. Of course, it's the Rockies because they can't do anything right. But the Rockies made a call-up of one of their top prospects this week. Chase Dollander over the weekend got not a call, but a text message that he was going up to the majors. And it wasn't from the team. Take a listen to how he found out he was going to the show.
Right before I got called into the office, I got a text from the hotel saying, "Hey, we're looking forward to welcoming your stay." And I was like, "Oh," well, like I started immediately, my heart dropped, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then I walk in, and thankfully our pitching coach Mahalik played it off really well, and was like, "Hey, let's just go over the scouting report." I was like, "All right, sounds good." And I looked up and I saw the camera, and I was like, "Is this happening right now?"
That sucks.
He got a text confirmation from a hotel in Colorado, in Denver, saying, "We're looking forward to your stay," and that's how he found out he was going to the majors.
Because that is one of the...
Did it have free breakfast?
That's a good question.
Probably.
That's
one of the greatest moments for any baseball player, whether you're 21 years old or if you're Weston Wilson at the age of 30. Being told that you're going to the show is one of the greatest moments for any professional baseball player. And for him to have that spoiled by a hotel text confirmation, I feel bad. That sucks.
Yeah, it does. That's just typical Rockies. Bad organizations finding a way to mess something up.
I hope he did the digital key and chose his room.
Hopefully.
We do that.
Did you hear the Bill Colarulo ripping of a call-up a couple weeks ago?
Why was Bill Colarulo ripping somebody?
I forget who
That's not Bill's nature. He's charming.
forget who the player... No, he wasn't ripping the player. He was ripping the organization.
What about?
I forget who the player was, but somebody got called up. Really young kid.
Okay.
They were breaking spring training for the start of the regular season, and they wanted to announce that somebody was making the team out of spring training. And so what they did was they had the kid's parents and girlfriend in a back room. And they said, "We have somebody that's being called up, and we want to have somebody special come out." And when the kid's parents and the girlfriend came out, he broke into tears because that's a big moment for him.
Bill was ripping that?
He said it's a bad look for the organization to make him cry in front of all those other grown men.
No,
And I
that
was
was
like,
a tears of
"Dude,
joy.
Are you kidding me?"
Tears of joy are not And they couldn't make Sasaki cry the other day.
Yeah, exactly. I know you
But
were
I mean,
miserable
tears
about that.
I wanted him to cry.
I was stunned when Bill was like,
I'm surprised
he
it-
was ripping whatever organization it was for doing it.
That's ridiculous.
Because they made him seem like a child amongst men. I was like, yeah, he's getting
is.
called up. That's everybody that's been called up probably cried either publicly or in their car.
Remember the kid who gets drafted he got drafted out of high school by the Nationals, and he goes and he
Bryce
sees
Harper.
he sees his dad as a mechanic.
Oh,
His dad's the local mechanic, and he shows up and dad's working, not following the draft.
Right.
And the kid comes with a Nationals hat and another Nationals hat on him. And he comes and he brings it to his dad, and his dad and him both just break down.
Tears of joy.
It's
beautiful.
awesome.
Yeah, it's an awesome moment.
It's one of the best parts about
It sucks when
baseball.
it's ruined by a hotel
Yeah,
text.
that
We'll
sucks.
round out with this replay from earlier in the show.
Did a series like that make you feel better about the Phillies?
I mean, at a base level, like, yeah, right? You don't go into any series and be like, this is not going to affect me, like 0%, anything like that. But again, we got to remember, positive, negative, April, what's today, the 7th? Like, they've played 9 games, about a week and a half's worth of baseball. There's just so much more to figure out about this team. So anything that looks bad may not be as bad. Anything that looks good may not be as good. So we just have to remember, not football season, all right?
Yes, I agree. John may not.
I completely disagree.
And that's the beauty of sports talk.
And that's
We're
what it
allowed
is.
to have different
Yes,
opinions.
I can absolutely take away.
Even though I think you're crazy for being worried about 150 days from now.
Well, then
as
that you can absolutely say I could be crazy about.
All right, coming up next, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN is going to be joining us. We can talk about all kinds of stuff with the national level, and it seems like the Eagles are national, right? The tush push was the number one talking point. The draft is right around the corner, and the Eagles are trying to defend their title this upcoming season. So we talked to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Coming up next here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. This man does a tremendous job covering the entire NFL for ESPN, ESPN.com. Our man Jeremy Fowler joins us. Jeremy, good morning. How are we?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It is good to have you on, especially getting closer to the draft and following the league meetings where the number one talking point was a play that averages about 1 yard in the tush push. I know the vote got tabled.
Yeah.
Based on your reporting, do you believe that the end of the tush push is near?
I think near is relative. It's getting closer. I mean, they were pretty well short of the votes. They had the 16 votes. You need 24 for the majority. That's a pretty big gap. So really the sense coming out of the owners' meetings was there was enough respect for the competitiveness of the play among a lot of the coaches and teams where it's like it's just hard to ban a play that people are good at. I think the league was also affected a little bit by how one team, in particular the Eagles, were targeted in this. Where when they changed rules, they want it to be, sort of a league-wide issue as opposed to just a niche problem or so-called problem. So there wasn't as much momentum as I thought. I was talking to a lot of people leading up to the owners' meetings that thought that they would pass under the guise of player safety. That was kind of the line I got multiple times from, checking with team executives and people around the league, but it didn't go that far. So the competition committee or whoever's behind wanting to get it passed has a couple months until the May meetings to try to push it through and get the votes because it probably will be voted on again. But I could see it being tweaked to where it's more of just a general pushing and pulling issue as opposed to the particular tush-push play.
Jeremy, can I say, though, it's something we observed. Did you see the people who were against banning it? Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell, obviously the Eagles themselves, Dan Quinn, like the people who were vocal saying don't ban it. It seemed like there's a sort of a football guy, old school mentality. Mike Vrabel. It seems like it's the old guard versus the we get our eyebrows waxed crowd. Much different. Not to get too much on Matt LaFleur.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't know if I'd go.
I'm glad I made you laugh this morning.
Together. Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, Sean McDermott's a former Eagles coach. He's a football guy, and he's against it.
Oh, he's out. We've expelled him from Philly now. He's no longer.
Oh, he's a hypocrite. He's a hypocrite because he says he wants it banned because of player safety, and yet they run it the second most times in the NFL, and he's on record saying that if it's not banned, he will continue to use it. That's hypocrisy.
Right. Well, you take advantage of the rules that are in place, and if the rules change, then you readjust. But yeah, I did think Raheem Morris made a decent point where you're saying like you're a little nervous of that sort of torpedo play where you have a 300-pounder just going really low and deep into a play like that among 22 people. There is. I know there's not a lot of injury data, and they're going to have to come with some more data that's convincing if they want any chance to get this reversed. But there is some sentiment for that type of play being an issue, and just trying to avoid any sort of catastrophic injury in that regard.
When it comes to the NFL draft, Jeremy, obviously there's going to be your early run on quarterbacks. What do you expect to see in the first round? Last year, it was, 16 picks before we saw the first defensive player come off the board. Do you think there's going to be anything as drastic this year early on?
I don't. I don't necessarily think there's going to be a quarterback run. It's just not that kind of class. We'll see where Shedeur Sanders ends up. He's being considered by teams like the Browns, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of momentum for him to go top 3 at the moment. So, where does he slide? Where does he fit? Does Jackson Dart really get pushed up as much as people think? I know people around the league I talked to are sort of trying to figure that out. Like, is he really going in the top 10 or top 20? These are quarterbacks that people don't have first-round grades on, but yet they get pushed up because of the nature of the position. I still kind of go back to that 2022 Kenny Pickett quarterback class that was pretty bad overall. This one isn't considered quite as bad, but when it's a weak class, typically teams refrain from pushing him too high. Taking a guy you have a second-round grade on and putting him in the top 3. It's just a kind of a tough sell. So I still think like Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter will be among the sort of top 3 or 4 players taken, as opposed to a quarterback outside of Cam Ward. Defense, I just don't see the same run as last year where you had all the offensive players going in the top half. pretty well-balanced defensive crew this year, and there aren't a lot of good offensive tackles that are going to go super high. There aren't a lot of wide receivers that are going to go super high. I think those players will be more in the teens. So as a result, you're going to have certainly some star defensive players that I think will be well-positioned to go pretty high.
And, Jeremy, you see the way that the Eagles may be being targeted by this whole new tush-push legislation. I wonder about the same thing about trades. When do people stop trading with Howie Roseman? Because we're all talking about he has the biggest war chest of draft picks over the next 2 drafts. But I wonder, at what point do teams not want to trade with Howie Roseman because he's had a really good success rate of fleecing people?
Well, he has, but I think the flip side of that is every team has a different situation. Like, you might, on paper, you could say, like, yeah, he fleeced some teams, but he's also sort of capitalizing or taking advantage of a team situation where it is best for them to trade that particular player because that player might fit with what the Eagles do but doesn't fit with Team X right now because of whether they're losing or the contractual situation. So, Howie's able to acquire players at the right time that work for him that might not work for the other team where they need to make that trade. So a lot goes into it, and it's interesting this offseason. You did see, or at least maybe in recent months, I felt like I saw less splash trades in part because, like, look at Trey Hendrickson right now, right, with the Bengals. He wants to be paid over $30 million per year. Great player, 30 years old, and you have to give up a lot to get him. Like the Bengals at one point wanted a first-round pick for that. Like, teams are having a hard time now making the big splash trade, giving up a high pick and paying somebody what the market prices are right now are just really, really high and sort of a sticker shock issue. So it's instead of trades, teams are leaning more toward what the Eagles did, and you draft good players and pay them early. That seems to be more of the trend than the actual trades right now. So, and with the Eagles, by the way, with trades, I'm fascinated to see what they do with Bryce Huff. Like, I still have him on my radar leading up to the draft. They owe him a lot of money. Like, it's clearly a situation, I think, where they're going to admit the mistake and move on at some point. I think of the 49ers with Robert Saleh and his connection to Bryce Huff. He really liked him in New York. Like, I could see something like that maybe coming together at some point.
Speaking of...
That's the next Howie trade I have on my radar.
All right.
And we will be keeping an eye on that. We will remember you saying it. Speaking of trades, it's inevitable that it looks like Dallas Goedert will no longer be an Eagle at some point this offseason. I do want to know, though, what's the market for an oft-injured 30-year-old tight end in the NFL where you can find tight ends nowadays in the draft? It almost seems like left and right. Still a very talented player, but the injury history is a big part of his career. Are there teams that are really eyeing up Dallas Goedert?
Well, I haven't heard a lot of momentum on that yet. I know around free agency, this first started to kind of get broached and it became a topic or a possibility. And, Dallas Goedert has been a top tight end for a while now. Yeah, I do think he has value despite his age and some of the injuries. I do. Now, a lot of these things come down to money and what you want to pay a player. He's got 1 year left on his contract, so does he need a new deal or an extension? My guess is yes, or if you're going to make that trade, you at least want to work something out where you can get the player for multiple years at a rate that's sort of a win-win for the player and the team. So, he's well-rounded enough. He can still get out and make something happen after the catch a little bit. He's a tough blocker. He's a good all-around player, so I do think he has value. But it was funny. I remember hearing, like, maybe during the season around October, like, a couple people would tell me, hey, like, we just watch for Goddard. Like, he's been great there. But there's a feeling that maybe Eagles could get younger and a little cheaper at that position. So it looks like that's going to happen at some point. If they can't find a trade, maybe they just release him. Maybe that's best for the team and the player at that point. But I think they'll be able to swing something around draft time. We'll see what happens.
Jeremy, we appreciate the time.
Always
as always,
appreciate
man.
you,
Thank
buddy.
you so much. We'll be bugging you again down the road, especially before the season starts. 150 days. John, has the countdown going on
150
already.
to the Eagles opener. I'll see you there.
See you there, my man.
Take care,
Thank
buddy.
There
you.
he is, Jeremy Fowler from ESPN on the Comcast Business Hotline. All right, we'll react to some of the stuff he said next. Bryce Huff, interesting. He brought that up on his own.
He did.
Also,
that's what I wrote down.
So we'll get into that next. Also, Aaron Nola discussion that we have planned for you about what the hell's going on. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Passing an early test. I'm Connor Thomas, and that's what the Phils did over the weekend, taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. Dodgers came into the series undefeated, and now they've lost the series on the year. Yesterday, Nick Castellanos was a big part of the offensive push, a grand slam in that busy third inning where the Phils scored 6 times. Prior to the series, Scott Lauber of the Inquirer talked about the Phils' belief that they can hang with this Dodgers team.
And the Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Well, they might have proved more to themselves over the weekend taking that series. The Phils are off today. They're heading down to Atlanta for 3 games with the Braves starting tomorrow night. The Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers off till Wednesday. Alex Ovechkin made news over the weekend. Huge news. Scoring gold number 895 yesterday. Officially passing Wayne Gretzky for most in NHL history. This update is brought to you by Moyer Indoor-Outdoor Services. Follow Andrew Salciunas' lead and get a jump on a lush green lawn this spring right now. Go to eMoyer.com for free estimates. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
Facebook page. You can watch the show live. And then, of course, we have all our fun stuff, post-show headlines. Fridays was a lot of fun. Friday, we did the listener questions. And, Connor, one of the questions was from a woman.
Yes.
No way. She asked
Okay.
if we baby talk to our spouses.
And our pets first.
Pets first.
Our pets first. Do we baby talk our pets? And do we baby talk our wives? And I was like, okay, that's sort of a...
I've never thought about doing that to my wife.
I haven't either.
Me either.
You don't have a wife.
That's true. That's why I've never thought about
Do you baby talk Spark? I can't never. Bolt.
Yes, I do not.
Dogs are different.
What's up,
You
buddy?
don't baby talk Bolt?
Hey, buddy. How you doing? Come here, Bolt.
But
gosh.
but you're the baby talking of a human being that is
That was a
A
question.
grown person.
yeah, that one I found interesting. And,
Little interesting
and
question.
maybe that's what she likes.
And she was asking us to.
Yeah.
So then I suspected was I saying maybe she was thinking that she may like us to do that.
This is the
We might
kind
have
of
to do a
stuff.
baby talk
this is
segment.
the kind of stuff you get on post show headlines.
It's kind of stuff that's different.
Check it out
like,
on YouTube.
subscribe.
Oh,
You name
Dodgers, did you lose the series?
And we're going to start giving away Suzuki. We're going to start giving away prizes on it, too.
The best one out of all three.
It's great.
Sasaki, he was fine.
Sasaki. He was fantastic.
All right, so Jeremy
Only
Fowler.
went 4 innings in some, though.
Yeah, you're right. Fowler brings up Bryce Huff on his own. We didn't even ask him about Bryce Huff.
Okay, I did not have that on my bingo card.
I know it's been floated out there that it's a possibility. You wanted to. I have the dead money.
You
by
do
the
have
way.
it? Good, thank you.
$29 million
They can't-
this year. $21 million next year.
I don't think they can afford it.
Unless they just do the Carson Wentz, we deal with it. They dealt with it with Wentz.
I don't know that they've got that kind of cap space to deal with that.
Look,
To deal with that.
I get it.
I mean,
Unless they think it's better for both parties. Because if Vic Fangio says, "Hey,
I can't work with this guy,"
yeah,"
then it's probably better that you move. him.
they didn't dress him in the Super Bowl, deservedly so. But think about that. When's the last time a high-priced signing in any sport wasn't on the roster or dressing? In this case, a one-game playoff. Dressing for the Super Bowl.
Well, 2 of your 3 biggest signings financially on defense weren't in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Devin
The
White
last
wasn't even
Right.
close to the team.
So, I mean,
Him and his
it's
motivational
wild.
text group.
It's something that I love about the Eagles, though, and I love about Vic Fangio. And I love it about
It's
how he
something
runs
that
them.
too many teams in the NFL and in all sports won't
They just will play a guy because we're going to do it. And I believe right now, and I do not believe that I am speaking out of turn, I believe the Phillies are a slave to it. We're going to make sure that we make things come out looking good for us. So when Logan O'Hoppe
Right.
could have been your catcher of the future, we are going to die on the hill of trying to prove that Brandon Marsh was a good trade. We're going to make sure of it. We let Jeff Hoffman go and weren't willing to pay him, and he did not get paid crazy money for a reliever.
Right.
He got paid good money.
Good money, yeah.
But he did not get paid crazy. But we're going to let Jeff Hoffman walk.
Well, 2
and not
failed
pay him
physicals.
that. And then we're going to watch him dominate for a guy who is a definition of failed physicals. We think Jordan Romano could come in and be the guy who's going to replace him. The Phillies really, and I guarantee it, I'll put it in a G. That's part of the thinking of him getting opportunities in these high leverage situations that Jeff Hoffman would have had. Just saying.
Oh, probably would have been Hoffman, yeah.
Just saying.
Now,
And by the way, Hoffman off to a beautiful start.
yes. Yeah, it's been a good start. So is Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Yes. Well, no. By Sir Anthony Dominguez, I'm not going to rip them on. He had he had tons of opportunity to succeed here.
Yeah, and he did, except for last year. I think they gave up on him too early. I didn't like the trade at the time.
Okay.
All right.
And you did say that.
Yes.
You did say that's why I will give you that.
Nola. So we've talked about him a couple times. It wasn't the worst start in the world.
No, it was not.
It just something doesn't look right so far. The velocity's not there. He's hanging a lot of his pitches. And the game one, his first start of the season was like the prototype of this is what annoys me. He's dominant through 3. Remember those 3 innings?
It was fantastic.
And he struck out like, 5 dudes in 3 innings?
And
maybe
then,
6?
And then the nibbler returns.
And then,
like on Saturday. Nibble, 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 nibble.
Well, and it wasn't even nibbling. It's just attack. Remember, I think he was like 70% of his pitches were strikes. And then the Nationals were like, okay, so we'll start swinging.
Yes.
And they teed off on him. Now, the Dodgers start, if I said to somebody, Aaron Nola or anybody, any pitcher, is going to give you 6 innings and only allow 3 earned runs against the Dodgers in April, June, July, August, October.
We would take it.
You would take it.
Yes, we would.
It's just people don't like that it was 2 more home runs from the same player. And I understand it's a lot of home runs.
It's too many home runs. He is the gopher ball king for 2023 and 2024 combined.
Yeah.
So then what does 25 begin with? 4 home runs in 2 starts. 4 home runs in 11 innings. It's unacceptable. But you can also say he battled his ass off and stayed in the game.
He did.
Both statements can be true. It doesn't have to be that, I tell you this, the defense squad of Aaron Nola is just, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, but then you have the over the top hatred.
But I
for
get
him
you.
Too.
Then you know what? Look at the people who are over the top hatred as clown behavior, because it's clown behavior. It is. But still, though, you got to acknowledge it is a major problem.
Oh, absolutely.
He is the king of the gopher
because
ball.
it changes the direction of the game.
It does, and they sag.
Yeah.
And John Kruk saying, you players sag when they're in the field, and the gopher balls are going out.
That National start, he has 2 outs, gets, and then he gives up he hits a batter, and then he gives up a single. And you're going, all right, 1 more out, you're out of it.
Right.
And then the 3-run home run.
Yes.
Right. Here's what I'll say.
it.
If he's been bad with home runs the past 2 years, and he's been successful, and he's also been very successful in the postseason largely for this team, maybe the defenders of Aaron Nola are saying, this is the same guy, and we know what we're going to get out of him. It's not elite-level pitching anymore, but we can provenly live with this.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, you can also criticize it. It's fair to criticize
Yeah, it is fair to
criticize.
Because it's not, giving up that many home runs is not good.
I'm not saying
There's
don't criticize. I'm just saying the past 2 years, he's gotten the job done even while giving up these home runs.
And you know what he doesn't do? A 6.35 ERA.
Well, through 2 starts.
I got you.
Right now, Wilyer Abreu is leading Major League Baseball in batting average.
But when we're talking about Aaron Nola, the home run stat
That
is
has
not
happened
early.
Yeah, that is insinuating.
It is what happens.
And
All
they've
right.
survived it.
Coming up next, we stick with the Phillies. They're off today, but they begin a series, big series, you could say, with the Braves tomorrow. I have a sports question for you both, and I would like your honest answers. And my honest answer may piss somebody off out there. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson.
How are we so far? Outside of Ojolari, I don't believe in none of them.
begin their series with the Braves tomorrow in Atlanta. We'll talk more about the series itself tomorrow, even though these games do matter because you don't want the Braves to sweep you and then all of a sudden they're 4-8 and they're back in the mix and you're 7-5. So if you win the series, you continue to bury the Braves more and more, who are 1-8 on the season. They finally won their first game on Friday when they beat up on the Marlins. So the more losses, the better. Handle your business. Now, I have a question, and it's a sports-related question before we get back to our text message.
By the way, you want to be real psycho, I'm going to just give you on that Phillies topic. 153.
Magic number
this morning.
Hell yeah, man. I'm all about it.
Give me the magic numbers. I'll keep you up to date, 153.
Give me the magic numbers. In sports, I would like to know if you guys agree with my sentiment here. Even though it's best for my team, the Phillies, that the Braves are 1-8 right now, because it could mean down the road that the Braves don't even make the playoffs. Who knows? We'll find out. It is better in sports when both rivals are good, or when both teams are good.
Psychopath.
So,
psychopath.
When the Eagles play the Cowboys, the second to last game of the season, and the Cowboys stink.
It was a party, and I was there, and I loved it. It was my game to sit in the stands. But I loved it.
But the build-up is part of sports.
Yeah.
And so, I go both ways here. When the Flyers sucked.
Whoa, save that for Ray Dunn.
It's there.
Good.
When the Flyers sucked, I don't know what you guys are inferring there. When the Flyers sucked, and they're still rebuilding, and the Penguins were good.
Right.
People would get fired up for a Flyers-Penguins game around here. I go, why? The Flyers aren't going to make the playoffs. Why are you getting amped up for this? Isn't a rivalry. When the Sixers were in the process, I did not give a damn about Sixers Celtics at all. It's better when both teams are good.
BS. It's better when my team's good and they suck. It's better than when the teams I hate suck. My life is better. I enjoy it so much more.
I understand life is better.
I don't want the drama of, wow, the Cowboys are just as good as the Eagles. The Cowboys are right there neck and neck with the Eagles. I don't need that. I want the Eagles wiping their freaking boots.
No, of course you want them to wipe their boots. But the build up to a 10-4 Eagles team versus a 4-10 Cowboys team doesn't mean as much.
That's fine. But I'm telling you, you're a psychopath.
Yes, I am.
On that, you're a psychopath.
I guess I'm a psychopath.
Because you are.
I thought you'd be honest, but apparently you're lying to yourself.
No. I like nothing more than the Eagles to be. I would love it if the Eagles and their three rivals in the division were all steaming humps of garbage.
Well, of course, because and it benefits the Eagles. And
yes,
again,
and so that's what I always want first and foremost.
If the Braves get eliminated from, it's like the 49ers last year, right? Like I was not ready to fall asleep comfortably until I knew the 49ers were officially dead.
Till the Braves are dead, and by the way, they're not.
No, they're not. It's too early.
You got to be sure to But the thing is, like when we'll talk about tomorrow, you got a chance to sort of hasten that along a little bit.
Yeah, you absolutely do.
And I'd like them dead, meaning you don't see them in October.
I know. I would love for them to be eliminated from the playoffs. But I'm just saying, a build-up to tomorrow's game is a little bit different because they're 1-8. Now, where do you fall on this, Connor?
Yeah, I'm with John here on this one. Because here's the thing, right?
You guys aren't honest with yourselves.
No, I'm very honest.
I love it when they're bad.
Hate Dallas. I hate the Mets. I hate the Celtics. I hate Pittsburgh.
Too.
Well, clearly you don't hate them as much.
I want them all bad.
Because you want the Cowboys to be good, so Eagles-Cowboys is interesting.
Fine.
Big Cowboys guy.
Take the Phillies out of this and the Eagles, because now you're going to try to pin me as nonsense. When the Yankees are good and the Red Sox suck, Yankees-Red Sox tonight on ESPN. It does nothing for me.
Yankees-Red Sox does nothing for me now.
This year it will, because they're both going to be contending for the division.
It does it for me.
But it doesn't have to be Yankees-Red Sox. It could be Dodgers-Diamondbacks. It could be Mariners-Stros. Give me two top teams in a division. I'm excited when they're both good.
But here's where we're different. Other teams' rivalries don't mean anything to me. I just like good baseball.
Gotcha.
Like I watch a good pitch. Like I can watch the Pittsburgh Pirates, as we said. I will seek out Paul Skeens starts.
Skeens Alcantara, opening day, man.
To watch Skeens pitch against another. But other teams' rivalries mean nothing to me. When I hear Red Sox, Yankees on ESPN, I'm like, goes in one ear, out the other. Because it's not my rivalry.
I like them, but it's not. I agree with you. It's not the same as like a Philadelphia rivalry. Here's the thing, though, right, Andrew? When the Braves are bad or the Giants are bad, so you don't get that rivalry, you're still going to have intriguing games if your team is good. Like, you're going to play other teams in the sport.
Absolutely.
You're going to get your fill of good baseball from the Phillies this year, even if the Braves completely
I'm talking about
collapse.
like tomorrow, right? Like, if the Braves got off to a hot start too, tomorrow series, like, oh man, they're both 7-2. Winner of this series comes out on top of the division. Whereas now it's, hey, I just hope you keep them down.
Now I have just as much drama of, are we the team that lets the Braves get life? Are we the team
that way?
Can we choke the life out of them? Can we win 2 out of 3 down there and leave them 7 games behind in April?
Oh yeah, if you can make them 2-10, that's awesome.
Which to me is a really good. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, I just think there is an entertainment value, and we live off of entertainment value. That's what sports is all about. Right?
I'm going to put winning so far above entertainment value every single time. Like, I'd rather the Phillies beat the Braves 40-0 in every game.
No. I want whether the Braves are undefeated
I want them to have 55
or
wins.
winless. I want to see the Phillies beat them up. What I'm just saying is the build up to, like, tomorrow, Phil's Braves, game 1. Like, it's like, all right, the 7-2 Phillies are playing the 1-8 Braves.
Screw the build-up. We'll celebrate when we beat them. Like, that's...
The build-up is part of sports butterflies.
The build-up is...
We did a 4.5-hour pregame show before the Super Bowl. That's part of the day.
Super Bowl. You're talking about regular... I want my rivals to be terrible. I want their fan bases to feel we're garbage and we wish we were them.
I agree.
I don't want any of that.
You don't know.
You don't understand, I'll tell you. How arrogant that Braves fan base.
Well, you would know more. You would definitely know more.
Believe me, they are an arrogant bunch, and they act like they've won like 7-8 World Series.
Right.
So to me, stomping on them is a pleasure in this
I
rivalry.
want them to stomp on them.
It's a pleasure to just see them get after them, and to see them have bad years would be wonderful. That would make me much happier.
It would definitely
make me much happier.
Much more personal for you as well.
There we go.
I would like to hear from people on that. It's a deeper sports conversation at 610-632-0975. Is it better for you in sports when the teams that we do hate are, you're all in the mix together? Because to me, the buildup is part of the enjoyment of sports. There's no more Cowboys weeks. They stink. They're irrelevant. So that buildup is gone.
Correct.
And you guys love it. That's good.
I love it.
I'm happy.
Makes me so happy.
See, I love today's show because it's like
we don't know where we're going.
And we're disagreeing on everything, but none of it's like a hot button topic.
Yes.
That's the beauty of sports talk, man. I could have this conversation with you guys with beers right now, and you know what? Screw it. Why not?
You want to?
Let's go find something. Monday, man.
How about 10 a.m., buddy?
Sure. All right, coming up next, we'll reset today's topics. Also, a future Hall of Famer has hung him up, and he's a former Eagle, Johnny. We'll tell you who next, and we'll have some fun with a side question on it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
First 3, Series 1. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Corona this Saturday, April 12th from 2 to 4 p.m. Join Andrew Salciunas and the Fanatic crew at Maggie's Waterfront Cafe in the Northeast for a Philly baseball watch party. Thanks to Corona. He's got a custom 97.5 The Fanatic baseball t-shirts, awesome prizes, and $4 Corona bottles. Go ahead and check that out. The Phils, they've won their first 3 series of the year after taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend in an awesome display of high-level baseball. Yesterday, Nick Castellanos supplied the offense with a grand slam in the 3rd inning. Prior to the series, Scott Lauber of the Inquirer talked about the Phillies' belief that they can hang with this Dodgers team.
And the Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Well, they got more positive reinforcement over this past weekend. The Phils are off today. They'll head to Atlanta for 3 games with the Braves starting tomorrow. Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. That game live here on the Fanatic. Flyers are off till Wednesday, and Alex Ovechkin made huge news yesterday, scoring goal number 895 on Sunday, officially officially, passing Wayne Gretzky for the most in NHL history. This update's also brought to you by Discover. Did you know that Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide? Well, go ahead and check that out. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can still hear all your favorite Fanatic shows no matter where you go. The 97.
Question of the day: does Chunas look anything like Max Kepler?
I don't think so.
My daughter thinks you do.
I'm honored because I heard he's the new heartthrob.
They're both white guys.
My daughter thinks
I got that going.
My
for
daughter
me when it
thinks
comes to that.
Chunas resembles Max Kepler.
Yeah, see, I
So there you
don't.
go.
I don't see.
I
it.
do see it when she said it, because you have a foreign lineage. He has a foreign lineage. Maybe it's that European.
I
that European
wish I was
style.
6'4" and
No,
could
that's
mash
whoa.
baseballs.
I'm not talking about your physique isn't his.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you know.
he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Look,
Big guy.
I'm honored.
Yeah, he's like you if you were cooler.
You know what, man?
Connor does a lot for
You know
egos
what,
around
man?
here, doesn't he?
I'm getting beat up around here today. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Our question today: did the series against the Dodgers do anything for you when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies? A lot of you, on a daily basis, are more negative when it comes to the talking points with the Phillies. They just took 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. And in impressive fashion, right? You had the lights-out pitching performance by Jesus Luzardo in Game 1, and then the bullpen comes through, other than Romano. And then in Game 2...
He comes through all right.
Game 2, you had an okay start from Nola. The bats were just quiet. But then in Game 3, you needed the bats to come alive to save you the win, and you did that. And so they won in 2 different ways against, arguably, definitely, the best team in baseball,
No,
at least during the regular season.
Well, they're the world champs.
Yes.
And they're the best regular season team in baseball over the last 5 years.
And then if you've chimed in on any of our side topics that we've been throwing out there today, I just shocked Connor and John by saying I think it's better when both teams in a rivalry are good in terms of an entertainment factor. I do believe that to be true. I don't think it's as fun when one team's really good and one team sucks.
I love when they suck.
That's good.
I love it when Dallas sucks. I love it when the Braves aren't good.
Yeah, it's nice to laugh at them, but then as soon as it's time to get prepared for the game, you're not.
Oh, I love it even better.
Exciting.
I love clowning them. There'd be nothing better. I would so enjoy because again, and you can relate. You'll understand. Like if you have your boys and you have a different team than some of your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
My social media this week will be a minefield.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Of course
with my old listeners and here it's going to be a minefield. So it's like I'm good with let's put the Braves in a grave, an early grave.
An early grave would be nice.
You realize you could leave. Whatever you do, we'll take care of business. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Connor, before I tell you about the future Hall of Famer and former Eagle that retired this week?
So we have a lot of people saying you're wrong with this Rivals thing.
Well, I'm not wrong.
Well,
you can disagree with my opinion.
Kate from Pennsauken says you're wrong. And when Kate says you're wrong, you're wrong. She says, Andrew,
Kate says it, then you're right.
wrong. Couldn't care less about build-up. Just want my team to win. And when rivals are bad, it makes them easier to do that and makes me even happier.
That's good. I'm glad you like to watch Friends on a loop. Because it's you know what happens and it's not as entertaining.
Why would
because the show ultimately sucks?
It's you know how the New England Patriots won a lot of Super Bowls?
Their division sucked.
And they got to be number 1 seeds and they got to play at home all the time and they went to Super Bowls and they won.
Yeah.
So I would love that. My rivals, I don't give a damn about that. Not at all.
I'm just saying build up. The build up for tomorrow is not that great.
No, I think it's going to be awesome.
What's better, build up or winning?
Winning.
Thank you.
Ultimately.
Checkmate.
Yeah.
Lawyer.
I didn't say I want them to build up and lose. I want to build up and win. I want to win regardless.
So we have a check-in as well on the Aaron Nola conversation from our buddy Tasty Cake Dom.
What up, Dommy?
What's up, Dom?
And Dom
What?
is a big Aaron Nola fan.
He is a big Nola guy.
Oh, no, he's
Mr. Freeze. He gave the nickname years ago.
Mr. Freeze.
For Aaron Nola.
Worst villain in the Batman series.
Come on, man. Schwarzenegger was awesome.
He says, very early on Nola for this year, a couple of bad pitches leading to home runs. Dodgers have a great lineup, and they also beat up Christopher Sanchez a little bit. I always ride with Nola.
I know you always ride with Nola.
Does.
And oh, by the way, Nola did not pitch poorly in this past game.
And he always rode with crimpets, too.
Yes.
And Tandy
right.
takes. Yes.
Nola pitched really well. Not really well, but if I said to somebody, hey, you're going to get your game probably 3 starter?
A 6 innings, 3 runs allowed.
Against the Dodgers?
I'm not.
You're taking
how
it in
about
a
this?
heartbeat.
I'm not overly thrilled, but I'm not saying that's unacceptable.
But again, I'm not saying you're ace.
But the problem
He's
is
your number 3.
He says a few bad pitches. Dom, you are part of the Aaron Nola You're the Aaron Nola truthers that are in complete denial.
Because the few bad pitches happen every hour.
He's
almost.
the gopher ball king over 2 now plus, because we're into the plus seasons. So now we can go 2+ seasons. Nobody in the National League is more likely to pitch a ball and then see it end up in the parking lot. Aaron Nola is an ace. You cannot do that.
You said it. You're
for
on
charity.
the record. You're on the record.
I'll say it again for charity if someone wants to make a big donation.
On the record. All right, Julio Jones retired.
He did
over the weekend. Congratulations!
And he retired
to an
on
incredible
4-4
career.
on Atlanta Day.
Oh, how about? Did he do that on purpose?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
He retired on 404.
Wait. He didn't retire an Eagle?
No, he retired.
That
He retired.
mother-
But you know
He
what
did not.
though? From his performances in the last game of 17 and the first game of 18,
Yeah.
he should have.
So Julio Jones retires. So for the rest of the show, just a little fun side nugget for people to chime in on the text line with, because we always like it when the audience is a part of our fun conversations as well, not just our main topics of the day. Julio Jones is one of those random greats that played here, because he
Yes.
did play. Did they sign him?
Parts of 2 seasons, didn't he? Or am I imagining?
I think it was
that?
just one, but they didn't.
No, it was 2.
Was it 2?
They signed him late in 1 year, and he played the start of another year.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I
You
don't
forgot about number 80?
Remember they lined him
No,
up.
he only-
Remember they lined him up at tight end too.
No, he only played 1 year.
Really?
Was it? 2022, he played for Tampa. 21, he played for Tennessee, and then all of that before was Atlanta. So he played with 11 games with the Eagles. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was more of
I
a.
swore it was 2
I
years.
swore it was 2.
So he
I
played.
don't know
He
why I
played
thought
11
that.
games with the Eagles. That was his final season of his career. So, who are some athletes who were great future Hall of Famers that kind of had a cup of coffee here in Philadelphia? And I think the first one that always comes to my mind during this conversation is Yager, because
Well, that is one.
he is,
That's the first one that comes.
that's
to my
always
mind.
my first one. Like that
'Cause
guy,
that was incredible.
And oh, by the way, he was really good the year he was here. That was Giroux's best season.
He was.
Any other names come to your mind? Great players. They didn't have to be great here. It's just the great player that you go, oh my God, that guy played for the Eagles, or that guy played for the Phillies or Sixers or Flyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Pedro, bro.
Yes,
Pedro Martinez
is a great
that's
answer.
a great one, Connor.
Maybe the best one. He arguably is one of the best arms in the history of the sport.
Yeah. Well, and Julio Jones.
Well, Yager,
One of the better wide
Yager and
receivers
Julio
and-
Jones are
Julio
right there.
could score touchdowns, though. Pedro could
yes.
score a touchdown.
He probably could.
Yeah.
The thing is, I'll always look at Pedro as the man who tackled an old man.
Yes.
Because in a big scrum, when you can play Billy Badass in a baseball scrum,
the old man came after
he decided
him.
to go after an old man.
The old man went after him. He
You
didn't go
don't have
after
to.
him.
You don't have to do anything to the old man.
No age limit on these hands.
Grow up.
He didn't.
You don't have to do that. Seriously.
Listen, man, guy shouldn't
Pathetic.
have been going after him.
Pathetic.
Speaking of legends, now
Yes.
I say this laughingly,
Okay.
joking. Well, not necessarily jokingly, because I used to have debates with people about this all the time.
Okay.
Dwight Howard, first ballot Pro Basketball Hall of Famer.
Which is ridiculous.
No, it's
Why?
not.
It's ridiculous.
Why?
He's absolutely locked.
He was a lock Hall of Famer,
Yeah,
and
no, he is. It's a lock Hall of Famer, no question. But
Yes.
It's ridiculous. Stat compiler of all stat compilers.
What do you mean? He won Defensive Player of the Year how many times?
There's a little bias. There's a little bias coming from Johnny here, because
Why is that?
Your boy's a big anti-Dwight Howard fan.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. If you,
Shaq is very anti-Dwight Howard.
Dwight is. I'll just say he's an interesting cat.
I'm sure you guys have
He's an
talked
interesting-
about Dwight Howard before.
I talked with Dwight.
Yes.
So he's an interesting cat.
Yeah, so was Dennis Rodman.
He should never be mentioned in the same breath with some of the people that he sometimes gets mentioned.
I'm not mentioning with Shaq, no.
No, he shouldn't.
But Hall of Famer,
Oh
absolutely.
no, absolutely Hall of Famer.
Now, I say legend laughingly because,
Okay,
I
good.
don't look at
All right,
him
that's
as
good
a
then.
legend.
All right,
But
good.
he played a season with the Sixers.
By the way, a season that I wanted him back.
I wanted him back, too. The thing that drove me nuts, I was calling him Dwight Hackward toward the end, because he would go in there, he would pick up his fouls quickly. And sometimes they were dumb fouls. And I'm like, I get it. You have 6 fouls. You're coming off the bench.
Sure.
You can use them. But, he would do dumb fouls. But Dwight Howard is another guy. He's a Hall of Famer that played here for a cup of coffee. So what I would like the audience to do is start texting in some names. Our YouTube listeners as well. I know we got the chat board. Hall of Famers, legends in sports that played here for a cup of coffee in honor of both Julio Jones and Dwight Howard. Julio Jones retiring this weekend. Dwight Howard being told that he's being a first ballot Hall of Famer in the Pro Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame.
It's unbelievable.
Now
It's
he gold medalist too.
I believe so.
I'm trying to see.
Might have been on the 08 team?
Actually, no. He was not a gold medalist. I'm on his pro basketball reference because it's pro basketball. It's not.
It is.
Right, it's
pro
not just
basketball.
NBA.
It's not just NBA Hall of Fame. But, Carmelo made it. And he should have because he's one of the highest scorers
And
in
he
the history
plays
of the
more
NBA.
than Embiid. We learned.
All right, so send in your answers. We'll check our text line. A lot coming up next segment because we've been busy and we got a lot of stuff on the table. So I'm curious where the people are coming in here. Damn right we do. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn. They have a lot to say about Philadelphia sports.
had a lot of things on the table today, so I would like to check our text line to see what the people are saying. By the way, don't forget, you heard the promo. We got post-show headlines coming up after the show, so please be a part of that. We love it. Also, the Mike Missanelli show coming your way at 10 o'clock with Ray and Bill. And right at the start of their show is your next chance to win $1,000. So make sure you're listening at 10 o'clock for the next keyword. We gave ours out at 8 o'clock. There will be keywords at 10, 12, 3, and 5. You can text in the keyword to 45911, or you can enter it on the Fanatic app or on the Fanatic website, 975thefanatic.com, the same way we've been doing it now for a while. So when the time comes, those are your ways. You'll hear Mike announce it coming up at 10 o'clock. Also, the deal of the week, Broad Street Brewing. Get a $50 voucher to Broad Street Brewing in Bristol for just $25.
Okay.
Broad Street Brewing celebrates Philly's vibrant culture and rich history with expertly crafted beers that pays tribute to the spirit of Philadelphia.
I've heard good things.
Get the latest offer at 975thefanatic.com/deals. I've not had a Broad Street Brewing beer yet.
I have, I believe, through my daughter.
Okay, I could see that.
Let's see.
I remember when
Making the rounds.
Yeah, when I first turned 21, I tried drinking like literally everything that I could find.
Making the rounds.
Dude, I drank 1,000 beers in a year when I was like 22.
Not something to be proud of.
Dope.
I set a goal, I accomplished it.
Yeah, that's not something to be proud of.
I had a fun year.
Hey guys, I'm on their website right now. The Hey Yo, and it's a picture of Rocky holding up a beer.
Oh, jeez.
He's holding up
that.
a beer. It's a hazy IPA.
I want to taste the beer.
I'm all for hazy.
That's
I love
good.
a hazy IPA. I'm all for that. All right, what do we got on the text line today, Connor?
All right, we're going to get out in front of this, even though we're already behind it, with the cup of coffee, great names. Everyone's texting Paul Coffee because you said cup of coffee. You guys
That's
are
pretty
all
interesting.
You guys are all hilarious. The coffee joke.
Wow, you guys are so funny.
That is a good pick. We also have a bunch of people saying Peter Forsberg.
Yes, Forsberg is another guy that I think of. I remember when he was nasty with the Lynch. Then he came here. I was excited. I was a kid.
We should have had him when he was young.
Yeah, I know. That would have been nice. Forsberg's always a good name.
It's one of the misses.
Yeah.
Lindros is great,
One of.
but too many injuries.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think. Any other names that come to mind? Like the 1 year, 2 year. Pedro's a great one. I mean, Yager, these are Hall of Famers, right, that we're giving you.
Sure.
Yeah. Dale Murphy has been mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That is a really good one.
Ndamukong Suh has been mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a bad one either.
He's got to be a Hall of Famer one day,
No,
right?
he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Probably.
No, he is. No, not probably. Ndamukong Suh's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. He was
The way that,
freaking beast.
but I also, that's where I get to my issue with the NFL Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Too many people in. Way too.
Yeah, and then it takes Eric Allen.
We have to get.
Then it takes Eric Allen 40
It's
years
crazy.
to get in.
We have to go 6. We have to put 6 people in every year. I just think it's bad policy.
Now, Tommy Reardon checks in. This is actually hilarious. He said, growing up in the Northern Valley, I always hated Washington more than our other rivals. But when Ryan Kerrigan came to the Eagles, I was ecstatic.
Really?
Remember Kerrigan wasn't on like the stat sheet for like 6 weeks?
He didn't even do anything.
He ended up having
No.
1.5 sacks.
Hey, that's good work by him.
He was a thief.
He was a thief.
He was a thief.
All right, what else we got on the text line?
All right, so Bruce checks in on the conversation about what the Dodgers-Phillies series has shown you about this team. He says he loves the show, by the way, so thanks
Thanks,
you, Bruce.
We like you, Bruce.
Phillies, my opinion of the team hasn't changed after taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. This Phillies team is a good team. We all know that. But my excitement about the possibility of a World Series, it's still the same. This team has got to play in the postseason, and they also have to fix the base running errors.
Yeah. Nothing really too drastic this weekend, right?
No.
The Bryson Stott,
Bryson Stott was a.
he was stealing.
yeah.
What they talked yesterday in the game, they asked Schmidt about it. They asked him, and he goes, I don't know what he could really do because he's trying to steal. He goes, but you could be more alert that he could have gotten back.
I mean, my biggest thing is, again, why are you trying to steal?
Why are you trying to steal
Schwarber's
that?
up?
Stay out of the double play.
Yeah, I know.
But with Schwarber up.
Well, I mean, listen, when Schwarber hits the ball, he does have a lot of like rollovers to second
But
base.
But here's my problem. And
He
then
also has a lot of bombs.
if Stott gets to second, what keeps the opposing team from not just putting up
Correct.
the 4? Now that you have bases loaded,
Okay, so put up the 4. This lineup's deep enough. Like, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It doesn't take you out of the inning if he gets thrown out
I
there.
don't want to potentially take the bat out of the hands of one of my most ferocious hitters.
I feel you.
And stealing
you
second
don't do
base
that.
in that spot,
It didn't
odds are you're putting the four fingers up and he's getting walked.
There was no sense to, at the time, there was no reason that you'd be stealing a base there.
Well, the offense wasn't doing much.
No, but it wasn't
that
like
day.
No, because again, if the offense isn't having a day, the one thing this team can count on that has been is a big shot from Kyle Schwarber, who is, by the way, off to a bigger. This is my notes for tomorrow. Off to a non-Schwarber start.
Yeah.
Remember,
slow starts.
Schwarber's usually
June.
silent.
Yeah.
He's usually silent till June 1st. We usually count the days. You run yourself, take yourself out of innings, run yourself out of innings. This team is very helpful to oppositions. Very helpful.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
Not helpful
Extremely
enough.
helpful.
7-2.
7-2. You're right.
Yeah.
What else we got?
All right, we have more checks in on the Phillies. John V says Nola has home run issues, but the Phillies bats could have won that game
We said
easily.
that, yeah.
And Romano is not okay right now. Leave him at home.
Yeah, the Romano thing, it'll be interesting to see when he gets his next crack. Because if I'm Rob Thompson, and look, to Rob Thompson's credit, sometimes it hurts him, sometimes it has helped him. Continuing to go with the guy, right? Hey, he's going to play through it. He's going to get out of it. Romano right now, I'll be curious if the next time we see him pitch is more so in a mop-up sort of situation.
It better be. It better be.
Well, he's going to throw in the series against Atlanta.
No, that's fine. It
Absolutely.
better be in a non-high leverage situation.
Yeah, 'cause it's not going
because
well.
he's not ready for them. You just watched. There's enough reason to know. You've seen him early on. He's not ready. Does that mean he's not going to be ready all year? No. Does that mean he can't come around? No. But he's not ready for them right now. He is pooping himself.
Unless that's exactly what it is, because the velocity's not there. Again, he's coming off of a pretty bad injury,
And his velocity is poor.
yeah. And so that's my concern is coming off of an injury, and the team that he was with did not want him anymore.
Correct.
Is there something that just is gone? And it happens. You know, I know we hear about Tommy John surgeries all the time, and the guys come back throwing harder. It's not every situation.
He's not.
And it's looked pretty bad. Now,
By the way,
hopefully he can
baseball,
stretch out.
a baseball person heard you say about Nola's velocity,
Yeah.
and a well-in-touch baseball person listening to the show, we appreciate them, says Salciunas knows baseball.
Damn right I
He
do.
goes, the Nola stuff might be troubling.
Yeah. He's not getting younger. 5 more years. You know.
See, a real seam head, says that that's a good observation on your part.
Tell that seam head, let's grab beers later and let's talk some baseball.
Love
All
this
right,
guy.
Coming up next.
And appreciate him listening. He can't say that he's listening.
Understood. What would it look like if the NFL added an 18th game, Johnny? CBS attempted to break that down for us. They also predict when it will happen, and it makes sense. We'll go through that coming up next. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Bills down the Dodgers. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers over the weekend in a great series between 2 of the top teams in the National League. Yesterday, Nick Castellanos supplied the offensive firepower. A grand slam from him in the 3rd inning. Prior to the series, Scott Lauber of the Inquirer talked about the Phillies' belief that they can hang with this Dodgers team.
The Dodgers were really good last year, too, and I don't know if that made Phillies fans puff their chests out anymore. I think I think they know that they can hang with the Dodgers. I really do. Like, internally, I don't think they have any doubt about that or any question about that.
Well, over the weekend, they proved their point, certainly taking that series win. They're off today, and they're going to head down to Atlanta for 3 games with the Braves that starts tomorrow night. The Sixers play the Heat tonight at 7:30. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. Flyers are off until Wednesday. Alex Ovechkin, he made huge news yesterday. He scored goal number 895 on Sunday, officially passing Wayne Gretzky for the most in NHL history. This update is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
98.5 The Fanatic. Sometimes you know that something is inevitable, so you just have to kind of deal with it, I guess. And you can still push back, kind of like our tush push conversation, right? Like, we can say that if it does get banned, we can still call out wussies.
Yes.
And hypocrites.
Yes.
And non-football guys.
Fowler loved the eyebrow accent.
Yes, he did. He laughed.
He just doesn't want to use it on the air.
No, of course he doesn't.
Just got to make sure he doesn't use it on the air.
He needs to keep relationships.
On ESPN.
The NFL will eventually move to an 18-game schedule. We all know that, right? Whether we want an 18th game or not, clearly we all want it because we all watch it. And I have an article on CBS. They made $20 billion in revenue last year, the NFL.
20 what?
$20 billion.
It's amazing.
The NFL pulled in more than $20 billion in revenue.
$1 billion.
And that number will only increase as years go along, regardless of whether or not another game is added. But obviously, if you add another game,
oh, it's huge.
That's another week of TV revenue, ad revenue. So the NFL is looking to make more money, not make less money.
More money, more money, more money.
That's what businesses do. So it's going to happen eventually. We're just trying to figure out when it may happen. I thought going from 16 to 17 was odd. I thought if you were going to do it, you would go 16 to 18.
I hate the 17.
But I get maybe trying to get players' bodies ready, but a lot of guys are retiring or out of the league.
Again, the story about injuries going up because of playing 17 games has turned out to be false fears.
I wonder.
They have not seen that.
My one question is, could maybe careers not go as long with more wear and tear?
I'm not believing that.
I don't know. We don't have the information. It just started.
But again, though, they tried to make it that, well, these players being asked to play an extra game, it's going to be, look at all the more injuries and everything. And their own data, NFLPA even, their own data says, yeah, we cannot show that.
But it's been, 2-3 years?
When did they change it?
They changed it in
the Super Bowl, the first Super Bowl. Because the Eagles were 14,
22, 23, 24.
Yeah. You got to let the numbers bake in a little bit more. So,
well, 3 seasons is a good amount of data.
So
that's a lot of data.
The grand scheme of the NFL, I think you need more.
Ultimately, it's a physical sport. There's going to be injuries,
Correct.
whether it's 1 game, 17 games, 16 games, 18 games. There's going to be injuries. So Jonathan Jones does a great job covering the NFL for CBS.
JJ.
He basically did his reporting and is trying to connect the dots here of when this could potentially happen.
All right.
I love how the line in the story, while we all talked about the tush push, the tush push is mentioned in everything.
Oh, of course.
While we all talked about the tush push, there was hardly a formal mention of the prospect of adding an 18th regular season game. An ambition of the NFL's for more than a decade, that Grail was not a focus of our discussions by any stretch of the imagination over the 2-day meetings, Roger Goodell said. However, Jonathan Jones believes it will be instituted in the 2027 season.
Okay, why
But
that?
it can't happen earlier than the 2027 season because the Super Bowl dates have already been
Locked
selected.
in. Right, because the Super Bowl is going to move to President's Day weekend.
Correct.
Which is awesome.
Where people will have a built-in day off the day after the Super Bowl. It's genius, and I've only talked about that for 20-some years on the radio.
Right, exactly. So
begging for that.
He believes if it does happen, he thinks it's going to be 2027 because you literally can't do it the next 2 years because the
dates
Super Bowl's
are
already booked.
The amount of hotel rooms, the amount of space, all those kind of things is necessary.
Right, exactly. And then the other reason for the 18th game, obviously there's the double bye that would be a part of this.
Which, by the way, then takes away some of that, well, players need more rest.
Absolutely.
That's a perfect thing. And you give everybody a bye in the first 9 weeks and the second 9 weeks.
Right, exactly, which that's great. One of the things that would happen is they're already showing you the expansion of the international games. You could have more international games if you have 2 bye weeks.
Because of the bye travel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you could.
Now that you're seeing them open up, games every year in different cities internationally, it almost feels like this is part of the reason to speed up this process.
See, I think if they weren't greedy bastards, they would just say 17-game season, And the 17th game, for every single team, is a neutral site foreign game. So everybody gets their same amount of 8 home games, 8 away games, and every team plays a neutral site game. It doesn't matter who wears their uniform on the road, things like that. And then every team plays overseas every year. You'd have 16 games.
Right.
They could have 16 international games to sell every year. 1 year you go to Germany, 1 year to go to Mexico, 1 year to go to whatever it is.
Right.
And that, to me, is the best way to do it. But they're greedy bastards. So they're going to move it to an 18th game.
Now, last nugget in the story here. The broadcast deals that the league signed with, Fox and CBS, Amazon, now Netflix, all these
Sure.
streaming services. In 2021, the deals don't expire until 2033, after the 2033 season. However, there is an opt-out. These clauses are amazing. Following the 2029 season. So there's two ways of thinking it. Do you do it in 2027? You see the growth in revenue for 2 years, and then you make the packages much more expensive.
That's what you do.
Or do you wait until the following season and then opt out? I think it would be 2027. You show them, look at what we provided for you. We're opting out. We got to do a new deal.
Look what Christmas did.
Oh, yeah.
They went
Netflix.
to Christmas. They went to Christmas last year. Netflix twice and Amazon one. Amazon got one. Netflix got the other, or did Netflix get both?
I think they got both.
Because this year Christmas is all streaming.
Yes.
And they added the third game because they have the data to go to them and go, how much do you want for another Christmas game? Look at these numbers.
Yeah.
The NBA, which always bragged about, look how many people watch NBA.
Yeah.
Just got smoked on
Yeah,
Christmas.
it wasn't even close.
Every game in the NBA combined didn't match either one of the NFL games.
Yeah, the other reason why 18 games is important is for morons like me who are not big math guys. Now teams can go 500 again.
Yes,
which
that's a big deal.
I don't like that teams can't go 500.
I sort of like that you have a winning season or a losing season. I sort of like that. Yeah. I understand. I like the even number two, Mr. Numbers guy. I like the even two, but I sort of like this. At the end of the year, you go, who had a winning season, who had a losing season.
Yeah,
one or the other.
We need our next Jeff Fisher. We need our next guy that goes 500 every year and keeps a job for a decade.
Well, that won't happen
You've
anymore.
met Mike Tomlin. You've met him.
No, they make the playoffs, right?
Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since the year before.
Yeah, but
there hasn't had a losing season either.
They're above 500,
Since the year before the Eagles won the Super Bowl the first time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Hey, that's the other side of the state's problem.
Hey,
we're champs over here.
I can promise you this. If you went 9 years in Philadelphia without winning a playoff
you're
game,
not here.
You're gone.
Yeah.
You're gone.
Go 9 years getting to the NFC Championship game 5 times, and you're still gone.
You'd be gone.
By the way, Bill Strobel with another good cup
What's
of
up,
coffee
Bill?
player, Fernando Valenzuela.
No, it's a great one.
It's a great answer.
It's a great one.
What else do we have on the text line, Connor?
All right, we have people checking in on a bunch of our topics from today's show.
We got a bunch of topics on the table today.
We got a bunch. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to the Phil's talk from Joe the Cynic, who says, I expected the Phils to take 2 out of the 3 getting up for the Dodgers. Now the test is if they take 2 out of 3 against the Braves, or do they go into Atlanta sleeping?
They're not going in sleep.
It's too early for the World Series season, if you get what I'm saying. Like the Athletics, when they got swept by the A's, I do believe a lot of that was we just swept the Dodgers.
Right.
And we're 3 days away from the All-Star break.
We're vacation.
Right.
For a lot of them, they were heading on vacation. And they
maybe that.
Especially that Sunday when they lost 18-3.
Oh, yeah, that was embarrassing.
I will tell you, I got a couple of the travel party dinner reservations tonight in the ATL at a good spot. I got asked the other day at the ballpark.
Nice.
Who's some of the guys looking to go out.
Nice.
And I said, well, I got them set up tonight. I'm going to make sure they're make sure they're well taken care of.
So I don't think you have a fall off series this early on.
Nah.
If it was right before the All-Star break, different story.
Now, I do think, and we'll talk about this probably a little more tomorrow as we get into the series, the arms throwing for Atlanta, this is a sneaky, tough series for the Phils.
It is.
Because Atlanta hasn't been hitting the ball that well, but you're seeing Sale, Schwellenbach, Smith-Shawver. All those guys are solid arms. Like Sale reigning NL Cy Young. Yeah.
Imagine if your broadcaster had a lisp.
That'd be tough.
Be a tough series to call.
So do we know that for sure?
That's
the projected.
Because according to MLB.com, they have Sale, Grant Holmes, and then Schwellen.
Oh, well, we're seeing differently. ESPN has it differently.
Well, guess what?
We got Source Wars.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'll find it.
Yeah, you'll find it out.
I'll find it out.
All right, coming up next, we'll check out our text line a little bit more. We'll preview the series more tomorrow because obviously the Phillies are off today before they head to Atlanta, take on the Braves, who only have one win so far this season. So we'll check our text. We also have the key three best minutes from today's show. That all comes your way next. Kincade and Salciunas on a Monday. Of course, Championship Monday, presented to us by Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Visit nopaybryant.com. We'll be right back here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Silvana Kelleher. The best show ever. Smart, intelligent conversation.
Florida here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We have confirmation on the probables for the Bravos.
Yeah, I can get to the bottom of these things pretty easily.
Hey, you know a thing or two about Atlanta.
Chris Sale, Holmes, and Schwellenbach.
So MLB.com gets the win there.
And that means that Mark Bowman, fine writer for MLB.com of the Braves, had the right information, did his homework. Sale,
That's right.
Holmes, Schwellenbach.
All right. Something to be prepared
I did
for.
not
well,
wish.
now it's a sweep.
I did not wish the person good luck. I should have done that. It would have been classier.
Nah,
But I'm not like that.
they're not deserving of good luck.
Yeah,
Go
now here's
Phils.
this. Okay, so here's what you get though. So now I got two, one in the DMs and one in email. Hey, we're down in Atlanta for the series. Where are the guys going to dinner tonight? That you set up for dinner in Atlanta.
You're
I
not
just
going
said
to
I
give up
can't.
that
I said
information.
I
Yeah,
can't.
you're not going to give up that information.
I said if you had asked me I said to the one gentleman, if you had asked me for a great restaurant in Atlanta, I would have set you up. I would have told you. But now I don't want you going to try to.
Right, exactly.
So
no, Bryce.
Yes.
Oh!
Now last year when this group went, they went to one of my favorite spots, and they set them up in a room that has the sliding door.
Yeah.
So they had their own room,
Nice.
and they enjoyed it, and they're going back.
Also, Bryce isn't going. He's sitting at home eating banana bread and drinking his raw milk.
And drinking his
Yes.
raw milk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to go out to dinner.
By the way, we're going to get back to the text messages, and we have our key 3
Sure.
coming up at 9:48. But I imagine this will be addressed at some point, either on the Mike Missanelli show or the best show ever.
The broken putter.
We have issues in the hallways here of One Ballot Plaza. If you've been following along on our Instagram account, always great content that's being on there, like the Guess the Philly, Guess the
Sure,
Eagle.
sure,
Not just show stuff, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. We have a lot of fun off the air as well around here.
We
We're
goof around and have a good time.
We're very lucky to do what we do for a living, and there's a lot of fun behind the scenes. And so with the Masters coming up, we were doing putting contests. And we had the right-handed putter. And for the first time ever, somebody thought of me and brought in a left-handed putter, and I appreciated that. Ray Dunn broke Dylan's putter.
How do you break a putter?
That's my first question.
That's what I want to know is how do you break a putter?
Viciously snapped it.
I
I've
have
heard
never-
it just right over the knee.
I have never.
Very intentional.
I have never broken a putter.
How do you break a putter?
I broke the one time in my life. I had a 3-wood break, and I was hitting behind I was in the shockingly between two trees.
Okay.
And I was trying to put the 3-wood and really give it a good ride, open fairway, and I hit a tree.
Okay, yeah, but you weren't like
That was
on
it.
purpose, angry.
No,
But club throws.
But here's
like
what I
Connor
don't
Thomas
get.
does.
There's no way that our man Ray Dunn was angry. Ray Dunn is one of the coolest
Okay, but
customers
then
in the
how do you
building.
break the putter? By just tapping a ball?
That's
No.
what I don't understand either.
I have here, if you're watching on our YouTube, I have the decapitated head of the putter. It's a clean snap right there.
Okay, that indicates violence.
Now Ray claims that he just hit the floor with it like a little bit and it broke.
Yeah,
and he said,
sure, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, he said it was not a violent action at all. I don't know. This looks like a pretty
No, it looks
decapitated putter
violent.
to me.
That looks
this
sort
is
of violent.
guillotine level decapitation.
And I saw, by the way, if anybody ever gets stabbed, we saw that this weekend where if someone gets stabbed,
You saw
that's
someone get
usually
stabbed this
that's
weekend?
usually you can always know that it's somebody they knew their attacker.
Wow.
And there's data from the national crime bureaus that if somebody stabs you, you most likely know them 95% of the time.
I'm glad we're
You
keeping
know
it
your
light
attacker.
this morning.
That's good. That's
That's
good.
good.
Happy Monday.
Now, does
Happy Monday to you.
Ray has to buy Dylan the putter, right?
I guess so.
Fair is fair.
Or it's a lefty. I can't give you a
Righty.
lefty.
No, he
Oh,
got
it's a righty?
It's the righty putter.
Okay. I think I have an extra
I'm
putter.
the only
that I
one
could
that's
give-
using the lefty
I
putter.
think I have an
right
extra putter I could give Dylan. If Dylan would like one, if he would take a used one,
now. That's nice.
and I'm sure it's fine.
I just don't know how to putter breaks.
Probably lots of good shots in it.
By the way, Abdul Carter, this according to Adam Schefter.
Wants to be an Eagle.
I'm
I'm sure those. Yeah, I heard he wants to be an Eagle.
He was spotted having breakfast this past yesterday, at State College with Brian Dable. Carter
Really?
is now scheduled to visit the Giants on Thursday in New Jersey. I heard Mike Missanelli talking about this last week, and he's spot on. And you know how I feel about quarterbacks today in the NFL, and I know how you feel
Sure.
about the future of Shedeur Sanders. Why would you, with the 3rd overall pick, if you're the New York Giants, why would you use that 3rd overall pick, which is gold?
It's you're going onto a car lot with $100,000,
Yeah.
and they show you a car that's a nice car.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders is
He's
a
not gonna-
nice,
he's not gonna
nice car,
sink.
but you're not paying $100,000 for that car. Whereas Abdul Carter,
Is worth it.
he's absolutely in the conversation of being worth that. And I'd rather do that 100 times out of 100.
Well, he's worth it for like 6 seasons until he does
Until he
the Saquon
becomes an
Barkley
Eagle.
route and becomes an Eagle. This
Well,
is perfect.
he's eventually going to get tired of losing. And then he can become an Eagle.
And
by the way, I've heard such good things about that young man
yeah.
that I wish him nothing but the best, and he's a Penn Stater. And I never do that for Penn State.
By the way, did you notice that Jeremy Fowler, it's this time this year it always happens. He goes, I don't believe there's a run on quarterbacks unless people start thinking that Jackson Dart, can climb up.
Correct.
And it's like this happens every year. There's a guy that for months is a mid to late first round pick.
And then the price goes up.
All of a sudden they're the 3rd overall draft pick, and you're going, what the hell happened?
Ask the Titans about it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, Jalen Milroe got
Is that
invited to the draft.
Malik Willis?
Now,
And
their starting quarterback
with Levis.
With Will Levis.
Mayo.
They got talked into Will Levis.
Malik Willis, they didn't get till the 3rd round, right?
No, but Malik Willis is fine, but he was talked up.
He was talked up to be a top 10 pick, and he went in the 3rd round.
And then the Will Levis, he did the opposite move up the board.
Yeah.
They never know when to hit the stock market.
Yeah. It's every year with these quarterbacks, man.
Like I was buying this morning, by the way, just to say. But I said that I'm not a professional.
Probably a good time.
But it's the idea is that they never know how to work the market.
What do we got on the text line? Give us one more text here before we get to the key 3.
All right, we're going to go up to Canada, the Great White North, because they're mad at you too, Salciunas.
Hey, Hoser.
Philly Porty says, I never want a rival to be good. But not going to lie, it is a little anticlimactic when you beat them.
Exactly. Yeah, your true self is coming out.
But he never wants them to be good. That's the answer.
I understand.
He never wants them to be good.
I understand that it's hard to hear.
Yeah, you said in a break you want the Cowboys to go 18-0.
Yeah, I did not say that.
By the way,
there are people that will take that seriously.
By the way, we could not. My daughter and I went to that game. It was our dad-daughter game of the year. Sit in the stands, everything like that. That Cowboy game. It was glorious. First of all, it was the most glorious day ever.
Yeah, you had a beautiful day.
It was like 60 in December.
Yeah.
And it was a glorious game because the Cowboys, they got clowned.
Yeah. I'm just saying the build-up. The build-up is a big part of it. And when one team stinks, there's not as much build-up.
That doesn't even...
I laughed at people who cared about Flyers-Penguins when the Flyers sucked. It made no sense to me. Why do you care? Why... Oh, it's rivalry night.
Well,
But
here's what you don't understand about it because of your age. There are many in this community of my age that understood Eagles-Cowboys games were so huge, and we were always the doormat.
Oh, I know.
And
I don't
the whole
care
city,
if we go 2-14 as long as those 2 wins are against the Cowboys.
And the whole city shut down for them, and it was the biggest thing. So there is a mentality here of that.
I'd rather go 14-2, or in this case 15-2, and lose both games to the Cowboys. If you're telling me 15-2 or 2-15,
I could sign up for it every year.
Come on, man.
I wouldn't care.
All right, it is time now for the key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
And a good Monday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, JK11 guarantee. Bang!
Yeah, that was a pretty nice one.
It got dicey.
Everything got dicey. Friday night got dicey. We got Romano twice.
Yeah.
Romano is not good for the blood pressure.
Yeah, we'll talk about him.
You know, not good for... But I thought that was absolutely a fantastic weekend of baseball where we're selfish bastards. Storylines. Tons of them coming out of this weekend. So many different
What was the one thing I asked for, Johnny? I just wanted to be entertained. Did a series like that make you feel better about the Phillies? And I know we're focusing on what they did against the Dodgers, but I do want to try to open it up a little bit more. Do you feel better about this team overall? Because I will go back to the tweets that we got in the first 6 innings of opening day, where people said that this team, same old, they're going to lose. This is why they're going to lose. They've now won all 3 of their series to start the season. Have there been some moments in games that you don't feel necessarily great about? We'll talk about Jordan Romano coming up. Romano. We'll talk about him coming up next. There have obviously been some blemishes, but ultimately, they've won their 3 series to start the season. And you've seen it via the pitching staff. You've seen it via the bullpen. You've seen it yesterday via the bats, where the bats won you that ball game. So I already felt good about this team going into it. You feel even better now because you wanted to see it against the Dodgers.
Yep. This Phillies team has that swagger.
Right.
And I like it. So I come in today feeling better about the Phillies team than I did on Friday. I feel better about them.
Can I tell you something? I feel the same.
I do not.
I feel the same way that I felt going into the Dodgers series because of how early it is. This man does a tremendous job covering the entire NFL for ESPN, ESPN.com. Our man Jeremy Fowler joins us. Jeremy, good morning. How are we?
Raider leading up to the draft. They owe him a lot of money. It's clearly a situation, I think, where they're going to admit the mistake and move on at some point. You know, I think of the 49ers with Robert Saleh and his connection to Bryce Huff.
John added something about the Eagles, and I was amazed.
Well, it was 150 days. I didn't want to let a holiday like that pass. I wanted people to be able to celebrate.
I'm pretty loose with holiday terms.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate the fact
like Madonna.
that you reminded me that it's 150 days.
Yes.
But what I found interesting was like your follow-up topic to the 150 days from now, and it's about the young defense, the new look defense that we will eventually see because they still have to draft players, second wave of free agency. There's going to be trades, you name it. There's going to be a new look defense.
There's going to be a lot of that.
After losing Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay, Oren Burks. They lost a lot of guys after winning the Super Bowl, and you're already concerned about something 150 days from now. That's the key three best minutes from today's show. Ben Ingram's going to be joining us tomorrow, Johnny.
Yes.
The voice of the Atlanta Braves.
Yes, he is a very talented guy, and he'll join us tomorrow.
Gets to help us preview the 1-8 Atlanta Braves.
I love that part of it. Plus, I may or may not revel in it a little bit when he's on.
Well, you should.
I enjoy doing that. But also, too, tomorrow it's Jeff McClain.
Yep.
That's fun.
Tuesdays with Jeff
and
McClain.
It's always Tuesdays with Amy.
That's right.
Which is always fun.
Tuesdays are like, you know what?
Tuesdays, they shouldn't pay us, but they do.
Tuesday's growing on me.
You know what? They shouldn't pay Connor.
This is an anti-Tuesday show.
They're paying me now?
Exactly. They really should. They should think about it.
Tuesdays have grown on me, Johnny.
Tuesdays.
That's why we loaded up, because Tuesday's a tough day.
Yeah, Tuesday is the worst day.
Like, it's weird, is it? Andrew and I both, like, as we get to know each other doing a show together, we both said, like, well, is there anything like, and it was like, yeah, I don't like Tuesdays.
Yeah. Mondays, I got no problem.
I love Mondays.
The only thing I don't like is the setting the coffee at like Sunday night.
Well, you forgot to do it. Oh, no, you didn't have coffee.
I was out of coffee, which was devastating. So I went to the early Wawa run this morning.
Well, it's just always a good choice.
4:15 in the morning, got my 20-ouncer. Beautiful.
You love that.
It was a great start to the day.
So, hey, support life-saving cancer research. You can join us on our generous partner, H&H Heating and Air Conditioning, who, by the way, were at our house this morning.
Oh, that's right. You showed me.
Doing the spring cleanup and making a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives.
All right, everybody, have a great rest of your day. We're going to get out of here a little bit quicker because, don't forget, not only does the Mike Missanelli show with Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn start at 10 o'clock, it's also your next chance to win $1,000. So make sure you're listening right at the start of the show.
When it happens?
You'll text 45911.
I'm not eligible?
No, you are, I think.
Oh, really? I'm joining then.
Yeah, Ray's going to try to win the putter.
That's right, for a putter.
Fanatic app, 975thefanatic.com. Those are your ways to enter. You'll hear more about it come up in a few minutes. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.